All right. Very good. We're going to call this Star City Council meeting to order. It's Tuesday, December 5th, 2023 at 7 p.m. I'd like you all to please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. We're going to have Pastor Tim Ney with Life Spring Church up here to give us our invocation tonight.
Let's pray. God in heaven, we take a moment to bow our heads and acknowledge that you are above all. You've created us to give you honor. Thank you for giving us this group of leaders, giving them the abilities to lead our city. We love them. Thank you for them. We ask that you give them wisdom as they make decisions over matters which will affect us all. May they lead with justice, mercy, and love. Thank you for Jesus, who showed his amazing love for us, even while we're still sinners. He cried, he died for us. We pray in his name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Roll call.
Nielsen. Salmonson.
Here.
Chadwick.
Here.
Wheelock. Here. Hershey.
Hershey, he got called out of town to Washington, D.C. with his job, so he couldn't be here tonight. So I had suspicions when we saw that house go up yesterday. I was like, was that Hershey? I'm kidding. It wasn't Hershey. Bad joke. So just a little bit about tonight. We have a lot of going on our public hearings tonight. We're actually going to move up the Star Fire District's public hearings first on their impact fee studies, because some of these others might take a little bit of time. And that one shouldn't take too long. To start us out tonight, we do have some presentations. We do have Operation Grateful Hearts check presentation. And we have Miss Wendy Jo Ackley. Sorry, I said it once and I think I said it wrong the second time. To talk a little bit about her program. But the funds from this check that are going to her organization are a result of our Star Parks Art and Beautification Committee's Veteran Banners project that you saw out here along Highway 44 from September 11th until November 11th on Veterans Day. We had about 52 banners out there of different, all sorts of different eras, I guess, veterans banners flying up there, which is really cool to see. And the proceeds from this are coming here to benefit your program. So if you want to tell us a little bit about your program, and then we have a check to present to you out here as well.
Okay, well, first of all, thank you very much. It's very much appreciated and will be used very well, especially through this season. Operation Grateful Hearts is a 100% volunteer organization that supports our military and veteran families in their time of need. It's our way of thanking them for their service and sacrifices. And we pick up where government benefits kind of end. So we make sure they have the essentials that you may not be able to get otherwise. And so sometimes we get them fuel, sometimes we're getting them car repairs, helping them with utility bills, something like that if a crisis comes up. We are also helping veterans that are coming out of homelessness set up their apartments so they could get back on the right foot. And then at Christmas, we do our big fundraiser, and we have over 200 families this year that we'll be doing in 3 weeks. And we make sure they have the essentials. They get warm clothes, they get household essentials, the kids get gifts under the tree, of course. And then we get them food for the holidays, and we get them staples for a couple of weeks to take some of the stress off during the holiday season. So thank you very much. This is going to be well needed.
This is awesome. And as a veteran and our fellow veterans, we thank you for supporting the veterans. There's a lot of them that need it. That's for certain.
Thank you for your service.
Appreciate it. So we do have a check for $1,300 for you from this Banner Veteran Project.
That
We
is
have
amazing.
PAB.
Thank you.
Oh, you want to come up here too for a picture with it? It's not the real. Yeah, that one won't stay. Oh, you did? Oh, okay. So go back to the microphone because we got people online too that are watching.
Yes, we have a website. It's operationgratefulhearts.us. We have opportunities to volunteer, to donate, and to reach out if you want to sponsor a family or an individual.
Thank you so much, Miss Wendy Jo.
You again.
All right.
Have a good evening.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And we're gonna, that's always a good thing when you're helping out veterans, whatnot in our community. So we're gonna move on to item 4B, the Middleton Star Fire Protection District. Chief Tominski is gonna give his report on the fire district. I think it's past his bedtime.
Not quite. Oh. Mayor, City Council, staff, thanks for having today. The report is 2 months because I wasn't here last month to update you. So we gave this data that we have on the screen here is for 9/1 to 11/27 of this year. 368 incidents. The response time is about 6.9 minutes. We only burned 1.1 acres because fire season is kind of over for this time of the year. Property loss during that time was 50,500 and content loss was 300,000. The next box down below, the incident type group, 2021, 2022 is the entire year. 2023 is the 1,402 calls, which is to the 11/27 date. So as of today, when I asked for the number, we are currently up to 1,426 as of this morning. It goes through there for fire calls. So we've had 123 overpressure, which is probably the gas line call that we had. Hazardous conditions or spills and etc. Service calls are anything from rescuing a duck to changing smoke detector batteries. There's a lot of them in there. Good intent calls are canceled en route typically. And then false calls, special incidents and other the same. They're just how they're coded in the CAD system. And then the bottom right corner, it shows during that time frame 293 calls in Star Fire District, 55 calls into the Middleton side of the district. And then I grabbed another piece of data today. Since the highway project has been completed out here in front of the fire station, the number of times that Eagle has came to Star has dropped off drastically. So they've came to Star 21 times, which is totally fine. We have no issue with other people coming into our district. We go out to all of them all the time. But during that construction, the speed limit was down and everything is done off of response time data. So there was a lot of calls that I got questioned from several people why Eagle comes here all the time. It's about getting to the call the fastest. And since the highway project has been completed, it's gotten a lot. We're responding to most of them now.
Good.
And that's about it, unless you guys have any questions.
Any update on the new station at all that you can give or anything? Or?
We received 2 RFQs on the 14th at 4 o'clock. The board will be interviewing Benetton Construction. They're going to do a presentation for us, and then the board will be able to ask some questions. The board's excited about getting it started. And then for Station 54 out on Harvey Road in Middleton, those plans are now 90% complete. So we should have those completed right after the first of the year, and we'll start that process there as well.
Cool. Any questions of Chief? None? I just want to remind people, if you haven't changed your fire alarm batteries, now's the time to get them done, right?
Yeah.
And if you can't get to some of those high ceilings, there's some fine men and women over there at the fire station that will help take care of that.
Yep.
So get her done. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We're going to move on to our Star Police presentation. Police Chief Hastings is going to come up and talk about his report and then introduce one of our newest and finest. Back here.
All right, good evening. I'm Chief Zach Hessing, Star Police Department. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you, Mr. Mayor and council members. If you don't mind, I might do the introduction first and I'll jump to the report. Is that all right? That's kind of how I had in my head.
You do however you want.
So
It's your show.
right. So I'll introduce Deputy Lonnie Neal first. If he wants to come up, stand by me. So as he's walking up here, there's a couple of things. One, so he's been with us just over a month now here at the city of Star. And it's been a little bit, I've been in front of you just because all of this has been going on. But he injured himself a couple weeks ago. So he's got some hand issues going on that he's working on. So that's why he's not in full uniform tonight. He's showing up here with us. So another thing about Lonnie Neal, I know I'll make it quick. I know we got a lot on the agenda, but so Lonnie kind of holds a soft spot in my heart. I'll tell you why. When I was born and raised here in Boise, as many of you know, right in this area. I left for 7 years to Nevada, and then I came back home. Well, when I came back and lateraled from the police department over there and came here, I was on training for about 2.5 months, and then they assigned me to the city of Star, and I knew almost nobody at Ada County, and except for my brother, who does work for Ada County, but he was working in a different area. But when I was assigned to Star, at that time, I only had 4 deputies, and so we didn't even cover Star for 24 hours. The hours that we weren't covering, that Star Police wasn't covering, the Ada County Sheriff's Office would cover for us. So you worked alone. Well, I loved when Lonnie worked, because when Lonnie worked, who was a North County deputy at the time, he'd always make a point to come over every night and door up with me and talk with me. So I knew somebody at Ada County. So Lonnie's got that welcoming personality that it's going to be great for the city of Star. He's very community police oriented, and he's always got a smile. So I appreciate him putting in for Star and having him here. So let me jump right into the bio here and then let you ask any questions of either myself or Lonnie. Deputy Lonnie Neal was born and raised in Eastern Oregon, where he married his wife of almost 30 years, Ginger. They moved to Idaho in August 2007. They have 2 grown sons. One is in the Air Force and currently stationed at Hill Air Force Base in Utah. And the other lives in Nampa and works for the water company, Viola. That's how you say it. They have 3 grandchildren who live in Utah. Lonnie started working for the Ada County Sheriff's Office in August of 2008 as a part-time employee in the Ada County Jail's warehouse. After a 1.5 years, he started working as a non-commissioned deputy on the sheriff's labor detail for 6 months. Lonnie then became a commissioned deputy in the jail. After 4 years in the jail, he was selected as a patrol deputy for the Ada County Sheriff's Office in May of 2010, where he has served as an acting field commander, field training officer, and is currently a court training officer. He has spent most of his time on patrol in North County before being selected as a Star deputy. I also personally know that he likes to do a lot of big game hunting, which we talk a lot about. So I want to welcome Lonnie to the Star family. I appreciate him being here. And Mr. Mayor or City Council, if you have any questions for myself or Lonnie, I know Lonnie loves to public speak just like many officers. So
All
any
right.
questions?
We'll put Lonnie up there. Want to say anything? Anybody got anything you want to say? Any questions?
Welcome.
Pleased to be here. Thank you very
Yeah, thank you. You let him off too easy.
What's that?
You let him off too easy.
You let him off easy. So I do have the, I don't think I gave September report, but I'm just going to do the October report. September report's online. I know again that we're kind of trying to go through pretty quick on the agenda tonight, or we got a big agenda tonight. So I want to go through the report pretty quick here. So October 2023 police report. I want to point out that I was looking at the numbers, and just for the full year so far, up to date as of end of October, for person crimes, we're down 40 person crimes from last year. So if you look at that, we had 70 so far total for the year 2023, and in 2022 we had 110. So we're doing good on that. Property crimes, same thing. We're up a little bit on property crimes, and then total crimes is actually 2 less than we did last year. So far, up to October of 2023, we're doing a pretty good job on keeping that crime low. And I think it's the 3 goals that we set as a city to do just that. I think it kind of shows through even with people moving to Star, we're doing a good job on keeping that low. For October, we had 15 person crimes. Majority of those were simple batteries and domestic violence calls and crimes charges. We had 11 property crimes, which is those are petty thefts, and then also a lot of jockey boxing. So I asked the public that I know that some of us are used to leaving the car unlocked, and whatnot, but we need to do the best we can on make sure those are locked. So what we're finding is that juveniles and adults they want to go through one night and check to see if your door's open. If your door's locked, they'll leave the car alone and walk away. But if it's unlocked, they'll start going through and rummaging through. So I do ask that you lock your cars up. And then we had 10 society crimes. The police activity, we do have a goal to always be proactive here in Star. I love to see where we have 4 proactive calls to every 1 assistant call for service, or most of those are kind of a reactive call. So assistant calls for service, anytime somebody calls dispatch or Star Police Department and asks for a deputy, that's what that is. And sometimes there's ongoing crimes going on, but a lot of them are reactive, that we're getting there and trying to figure out what happened rather than stopping it happening. So if you look at that, we had 307 citizen calls for service and 1,611 proactive policing calls. So we had 5.24 calls to every 1 quote unquote reactive calls. So we're doing a good job of getting out, making traffic stops, talking to the public, a lot of community policing in that, and stopping at the schools and saying hi to the kids, those type of things. And then the only thing that kind of stood out to me as I went through is property crime calls. We're up almost double from September to October. Again, I ask that you lock your cars up and turn on lights. We love ring doorbell cameras, those type of things are always a good thing and deters crime. We had a total of 10 arrests for the month of October. We had 4 mental holds. And then last, our code 3 responses, which that's our emergency responses when somebody calls and we're running lights and siren. Our time for those was 1 minute and 49 seconds for October, with an average of 2 minutes and 9 seconds for the city of Star. We have a goal of being under 4 minutes, so we're well below that goal, which is good because seconds matter when people need police. And just out of Star, so that's when a Star deputy responds outside the city limits to help Ada County or Eagle or Meridian. We have an average of 4 minutes and 42 seconds. Oh, sorry, 5 minutes and 41 seconds for October. And an average overall through the year was 4 minutes and 42 seconds. So overall, we're staying proactive. We're trying our best to get there before things happen, and also a lot of community policing. But that's the report, unless there's any questions or concerns from Mayor or City Council.
Any questions from the council?
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilwoman?
I just have one regarding the mental hold. Can you explain what that means?
Yes. So we have a CIT team, a crisis intervention team. It's comprised of 2 deputies and now actually 2 clinicians. So we used to only have 1 clinician for the past, I think she's been on when we first hired her. She's the first clinician that we've had. I think we hired her on about 6 years ago. We just added another one. It took us over a year to find another one that met the requirements and wanted to do the job. And what it is they pair up. So the clinician and a deputy pairs up, and their whole purpose is throughout all Ada County, go to suicidal calls. So anybody that calls in that's suicidal, they'll respond with the other deputies that's in that area. And that clinician actually does kind of finds out exactly what's going on and if they need help. And we can put them on a mental hold if we think they're a danger to themselves or a danger to their family. And that mental hold, we'll take them. Sometimes the ambulance will take them too, depending on what's going on. But we'll take them, make sure they get down to a center that will give them counseling and those type of things. So it's not technically an arrest as a charge, but we are actually putting on hold. So we are taking away their liberties, their rights at that time, because we deem them as somebody who's either going to hurt themselves or hurt the public or their family. So hopefully that kind of answers the question. Yep.
Did you have a comment there?
Yes.
Councilman, go ahead.
So just curious if you can give us a brief update. I know the Ada County Sheriff has a program going on now for the holidays to collect some stuff to help folks out. Can you?
Yes. So the Star Police Department has partnered with the Star Rec and Star Fire. And what we did this year, so we The Ada County Sheriff's Office always does shop with the sheriff, and they do different things through the association where they buy toys, get gifts, and deliver them to different houses of where we see children that are in need or families that need some help. This is a little bit different. It's kind of the same concept, but what's this one is we identified some families here in Star. It's just Star families that are struggling and trying to get through for Christmas time. And I've asked the public, the citizens of Star, to donate some hygiene products, some toys for kids, those type of things. We have a list, and there's actually an Amazon wish list that people can go on to, and they're delivering those toys to the Star Police Department and the Star Fire, and then we're wrapping those. And then come this Sunday, there'll actually be an event where those families will be able to meet here in Star, and there'll be kind of a Christmas event. And while the families are there, we'll deliver toys out. As Star Police and Star Fire will deliver the toys out to their homes. And I got to tell you, I walked in my conference room, and there's no room in my conference room. There's so many toys and wrapped gifts. It looks like Christmas exploded in there. So it's been a great event. I think it'll be something that'll be pretty exciting for not only the families, but I know Star Fire and Star Police have really appreciated the help, and Star Rec has done a fantastic job in their support. So it's been a really neat experience to see how many people are willing to help out and to give extra, especially this time of year. So,
And are you in need of donations still? I know it's coming up pretty quick. Is that Amazon wish list still open? And
I think it's still open. I'm not sure. I look at that. I don't know how much more need there is because it's been so wonderful. But
Dana has, she can say to it.
There's information on the city website, staridaho.org/heroes. It has the link to the Amazon wish list.
Perfect. Should answer that. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments to Chief?
Yeah, I have a question, but it's Sarah Downer compared to that question. I'm more curious about the traffic stops. You know, they're at the 250 and that area. Is that mostly from our new POP team or whatever they're calling them?
Yep. So the POP team, the Problem Oriented Policing Team, which is our traffic enforcement team, they do about 70% of what they're doing is traffic stops and traffic enforcement. The other 30% is to, if we see issues in Star, we can kind of concentrate on those with him. Right now, Deputy John Cleveland's our only side of that Problem Oriented Policing Team that we have right now. Eventually, once we get another one, it's already been approved. Once we get somebody hired for a patrol position, Deputy Derek Brashears will do the other half of that. But to answer your question, he had 100 over in October. He had 102 traffic stops total. So of that 254, he's almost half of the traffic stops. They're not just traffic stops. He's pulling drugs off the streets. He's pulling a lot of marijuana off the streets. That's the majority of what it is. But he has pulled in. I know in September he pulled cocaine and meth and those type of things too on Highway 44, Highway 16, and every once in a while, not very often, he gets to 2026 and does a little bit of that. But most of it's right here, Highway 44. But he'll go in through the residential areas too, and enforcing there too. But yeah, it's been a huge. I actually have a report that I sent to the mayor of every month that's put together just for that team because I want to see how proactive we're being. And I tell you, it's amazing the many arrests and things that they're doing. So it's been a great improvement.
Does that seem to be fixing or curbing the challenges that we were seeing with drugs coming through town?
Yeah, I've heard. You never know, but I have heard that according to a few people on patrol guys that when they do make traffic stops, that people have told them, we know not to drive through Star now. The drugs, we go around Star. So we like to hear that. I don't know how truthful that is, but we like to hear that. So
We did have a,
We could encourage them to go around.
excuse me,
Yes,
we
yep.
did have one of the guys that he got that actually said, I knew I shouldn't come through. They kept telling me not to come through here,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Perfect.
That's what we
Whatever we
want.
can do to keep the drugs off the streets of neighborhoods of Star, man, that works for me, right?
Yep.
Thank
So-
you.
You bet.
I will say, I just want to, and it's not to be, it's a kind of a downer thing too, but our police go on several suicide calls and fire a week. And they're not, I mean, it's whether it's in all different phases of that. there's a lot of need out there for people that need help. We as a city are working on some sort of a program and trying to finalize the details on this, on how we can get into our youth a little bit more to try to alleviate that. Some of the schools in our valley have been inundated with kids that have committed suicide, and it's a sad deal. And you know, anything we can do, you guys, as a community, you know, check on your neighbors, the kids, whatever, man. And if they're having a down time, just get in with them and talk to them a little bit and get them some help, because this is to me is one of the biggest challenges we have right now, is this mental health challenge that we have with folks out there. So I just want to just emphasize that a lot to folks, because it really hit home with us, because my son's girlfriend's brother was one of the kids that committed suicide at Meridian High School. And it hit home a lot for a lot of those kids. And and there was no signs, zero, with him. And I mean, we just got to interact more and just talk to kids more, and talk to families and adults, and just try to be there for them. Right. Because I think any bit of that interaction can help out these kids out there. So,
And there's a lot of resources out there too. If you have any questions about resource, anybody, they can always contact us. And we can give that to them. So there's a lot of resources for people who are struggling. So,
all right. Thank you, sir. Anything else? No. Thank you. Is Sheriff here?
I didn't see him. I don't know if he got caught up. I know that he wanted to come talk tonight and just thank the city for the grants that you've put in for, and being open to that, and a lot of support that you guys have given Star Police. I know I'm not sure exactly what he wanted to say tonight, but I know he talked to me about wanting to thank the city on that. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you, sir. We're going to move on to item 5, the consent agenda.
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilwoman?
I move that we approve the consent agenda consisting of item 5A, approval of minutes for October 17th, 2023, August 1st, 2023, and June 27th, 2023. The approval of claims, item 5C, final plat for Fountain Park subdivision phase 1. Item 5D, final plat for Madden Ford Estates subdivision number 2. Item 5E, final plat, Moon Valley subdivision phase 8. And item 5F, findings of fact, conclusions of law for Falcon Storage.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We got a motion, a second by Councilman Nielsen. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, roll call.
Wheelock.
Aye.
Salmonson.
Aye.
Nielsen.
Aye.
All right, that motion carries. Thank you. Now we're going to move on to item 6, the public hearings with action items. We are going to move up the Star Fire Protection District's public hearings. It shows 4 of them on there, but they're all going to be one. So we don't have to do this 4 different times. So we're going to move on to item 6D, the public hearing, and item 6E, 6F, and 6G. So if we have a representative, Star Fire, here to talk about the impact fees study and stuff. And if you guys want to speak to this, there are sign-up sheets in the back, but you need to sign up on the sheet there to speak. Okay. All right, sir. State your name and address, please, for the record. And it is 728.
Colin McElweeny, 999 West Main Street, Boise, Idaho, 83702. Thank you, Mayor and Council. I also appreciate moving me up a little bit on the agenda. You also made it hard, a couple good acts before me. So, but I want probably not take too much of your time tonight. I'm here to review the Star Fire Protection Impact Fee update. You're currently collecting on their behalf for impact fees. And so every 5 years, we have to update these studies to bring it consistent with their capital improvement plans. Next slide. Just to give you a sense, real high level sense of where you're seeing impact fees throughout the state. We are seeing these, in the last 3 or 4 years really come into popularity because of both growth, but also some limitations that have been put on taxing districts from the state capital. And so these are revenues that are able to help fund necessary capital expansions. Next slide. So, you probably are well aware of what impact fees are, but just to sort of bring us all up to speed. Oh, can I do that?
Forward, backwards, and then.
You'll have to put it in presentation mode.
Okay.
Can you put it in presentation mode?
Oh, yeah. Oh, there you go. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So impact fees, these are one-time payments that new growth pays to offset their new demand on infrastructure. In this case, that's fire stations, fire apparatuses, and fire equipment. This is not a fee if you remodel your home, if you expand your home. It's not a fee on businesses that move into existing structures. These are development-related fees on new subdivisions and new commercial development that are bringing in more residents and more jobs and more traffic into your community. In this study, and I think in the packet, you'll see the full report, we have to provide a nexus between the fee payer and receiving a benefit. And there's a sort of a three-pronged test that we do that, showing need, benefit, and proportionality. Sitting down with fire staff, we go through the capital improvement plans to ensure that there's growth-related plans to expand their infrastructure, provide new fire stations, and outfit those with new engines that are accommodating growth as they come in. We have to ensure that there's benefit. In this case, as long as there's not extraordinary circumstances, we have to use the dollars within 8 years. So if we collect it tomorrow, we got 8 years to spend that on new infrastructure that provides a benefit to the fee payer. And lastly, the fee has to be proportionate. And that's done through both the impact fee schedule. And so you'll see there's going to be a single family and a multifamily housing type because there's different demands that come off of those housing developments. But then also there's a retail fee, office fee, and industrial fee because they also have different demands on fire protection. And also we're only looking at the cost for new infrastructure. So we're not including personnel, we're not including maintenance, we're not including replacement of units. These are new fleet units to accommodate the new growth that are coming into the district. Specifically in Idaho, we have to go through this process where you have an advisory committee, a DFAC, Development Impact Fee Advisory Committee, where they meet and review the study. They provide input on growth projections and capital plans. They also have to review the actual fee funds every year to supervise the collection, the inflow of the cash, and then if there are expenditures to supervise that to make sure it's done appropriately. We have to update these programs every 5 years. We need a capital improvement plan, and we'll review that in a second here. And then we can collect for a handful of sort of infrastructure types, including public safety. Getting a sense here of the process. So we started this, I think, at the beginning of the year. So we go sit down with department staff. We look at growth projections, bringing in capital improvement plans. There's different methodologies that we evaluate. We also have to ensure that we're not double collecting on growth. So if there's any other revenues coming in, we reduce the impact fee. So we're not double charging. Prepare that, present to the fire board where we got recommendation to move forward. This is then goes through the advisory committee process. And in this case, we got approval there as well. And it's going to, in this case, Star City Council, but we have to, they also provide fire protection to Ada County. And so we've gone through that process. We're almost to the commissioners in that process. And Star Fire also provides some service to Middleton, City of Middleton as well. And so we've done that last week or 2 weeks with their city council. Yeah, so you're seeing here sort of their boundary, well aware of the length and magnitude of their service here. So importantly, we're doing what's called a plan-based approach. And so we essentially just look at the 10-year growth-related needs, compare that to the 10-year growth projections to get a sort of average cost per person or per job. And in this case, this fee is assessed on residential growth, but also non-residential growth because they also put demands on fire service. So here's their 10-year capital improvement plan. So we have that new station at Floating Feather scheduled in the next couple of years. That's about a $3 million job. Another station 52 expansion. Then within year 3 to 10, we have another station at Highway 16, and then actually a split station at Purple Sage with Middleton Fire. That's further out here, but we're looking at 10 years. And so that's 3 stations totaling $10 million in need. Then we have to outfit those stations with new engines, brush trucks, other units there. So you're sort of seeing that halfway through. And then we also can collect for equipment that has a 10-year useful life or longer. So the SCBA, so those are the breathing units that they have. And we can collect for impact fees there. Importantly, in their capital plan, there's replacement of units, and we can't use impact fees to fund those replacements. And so you're seeing sort of the second to last column, the total CIP being $19.7 million, and then the growth related share, what we can collect for with impact fees, is $14.6 million. Yeah.
Sorry, just the green light keeps going off. So you said 10 years on the useful life. I thought it was 8. Did it change to 10?
Mayor, great question. At 8, from when you have to spend the dollars, the capital has to have a useful life.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
So I'll quickly run through sort of the analysis. We use call data, very similar to the reports that you were just reviewing, to attribute demand. In this case, 91% of fire demand is coming from residential locations and 9% from commercial locations. Then we essentially split up the capital improvement plan based on the type of infrastructure. So we're looking at the 4 fire station expansion projects here. That's about $10 million. Attributing that with that 91.9% split, comparing that to the 10-year population projection for the whole district. So this is not just City of Star, but the broader district. And we project about 15,000 residents new over the next 10 years, 17,000 new vehicle trips. So the level of service, or the facility level of service, is that first green line. Then that's compared to the current construction costs for station space. That's $428 per square foot. So we combine level of service with current costs to get the capital cost per person of $629. Same thing is done on the apparatus side. So we have 7 new units over the next 10 years. Comparing that to the growth, average cost between those 7 units is $611,000. So we're getting $263 per person. Smaller numbers for the equipment, but importantly, this helps alleviate some of the burden on their tax base. So this is $127,000 that we can collect for. Smaller numbers, $8 a person. We can also collect for the study itself. So that was about $19,000, boiled down to about $2 a person. Importantly, they have some cash in their fund that they've collected previously that's going to go to the capital improvement plan. And so that's $2.4 million in the fund balance. We had that $14 million that we're solving for. So we've already collected 16% of the plan. So you'll see a 16% reduction in the fee because we're only solving for the remaining difference. So that's all sort of summed and boiled down here. You get the gross numbers, then the reductions of 16%. On the residential side, that's $758 per person. And then we match that up with local persons per housing unit factors for single family and multifamily to get the maximum supportable fee amount. So for an average single family home in the STAR district, it's 2.84 people. Multiply that by the cost per person to get $2,152 per home. On the multifamily side, that's per unit. So if you were to build a 10-unit apartment building, you pay 10x that amount there. Right now, we're charging a unified residential fee of about $800. We're seeing increases for both single family and multifamily. On the non-residential side, those fees are per 1,000 square feet of development of sort of brick and mortar heated space. Retail, $839 per 1,000 square feet. Small, that's the highest, the smallest one being industrial being $145 per 1,000 square feet. Charging a unified fee in this case as well, $380. We got some increases and some decreases there. Importantly, this is more sort of on that long-term capital planning side is we look at those maximum supportable fee amounts and the projected growth to estimate the projected revenue over the 10 years. That gets us $12.5 million. We're solving for that 14.7. So there's a gap there, but that's a result of that cash that we've already collected in the fund balance. So it'll just be backfilled by what we already collected. Lastly, here are the comparables for other fire districts within the area. You're seeing Eagle, we just updated that recently. Boise and Kuna, really the new updates have really pushed up. I think about 5 years ago, we were seeing about $850 for a single family home. 5 years ago is almost a totally different world. Stations costs have gone up, doubled. Fire engines have doubled in cost, and so you would expect to see your impact fees to do just the same. So we're seeing these inch up around the $2,000 mark. And that's it I had for presentation. So I'm open up for discussion and questions.
I do have a question for you. When we do approve this, I'm assuming we're going to approve this because we're big on impact fees paying for stuff. When does it go in effect once we approve it? Is it an immediate thing or is it a 30-day window? I don't remember what that is.
30-day window.
30-day window. So just so staff is aware, got to make some changes to our formulas and stuff here. Okay. Questions of
Can we go back one slide just for a second? The impact fees in the city of Boise, 2019, right? Are those all updated in the same calendar year, or are they lagging behind us?
Yeah, that's probably a couple years old. And same with CUNA as well. Actually, CUNA's updating theirs presently as well. So Eagle would have been, and Middleton actually are the two most recent. Those were just updated sort of in parallel to these studies.
Thank you.
And you will see that Boise has done a lot of new stations over there recently too with their impact fees. It's good. Any further questions? Councilwoman?
Sure. So on that same table,
Can you talk more?
sorry, on that same table, what's the difference between the minimum and the maximum? Why are those separated out?
Great question, council member. So you have the current that's in the gray, and that's sort of what they're collecting today under the study from 5 years ago. And then the maximum, it's more technical because the study provides a maximum supportable amount. And so you are able to adopt a lower number than that. You just can't go above it justifiably.
Got it.
Mhm.
And so Eagle, they updated their impact fee recently, and they're current, and they are with 897. Is that correct?
No. They updated maybe last month, approved it, and they're charging the $2,111
Okay.
for the single family.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay. Any further questions? Councilman Nielsen?
Are you aware of a reason that Eagle's maximum for retail is so much greater than everyone else's?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's reflected in their commercial base. And so they just have a larger sort of demand presently from their commercial development compared to Star and then Middleton. But I think the expectation would be as growth continues to shift this way, especially commercial growth, that commercial demand will grow. And so the impact fee would grow as well.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further questions? Okay. Do we have anybody sign up on the sheets out back? No, I can't see through him. So nobody signed up on there. Is there anything further you want to say? Before we?
No, no, thank you for the time. Yeah.
Okay. So it is, it's 7:45, so we're going to close the public hearing. We'll go to council deliberations, and then we need to approve each of these separately on here, on the public hearing portion. Later tonight, if you approve those, we have ordinances to approve and resolutions to approve separately later.
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilman Nielsen.
So did we just hear the presentation for all four of these?
Yep.
But there was no discussion of comprehensive plan.
The comprehensive plan, we have to update that comprehensive plan to.
Yep, Mayor.
Okay, so go ahead, Chris.
Just kind of for everybody's benefit. So you have the 4 items on your agenda. So one of them is approving the capital improvement plan and the study, which you've seen in front of you. The next item on the agenda is to adopt the new fee. So you'll set that somewhere between that, kind of your current number and the maximum, wherever you want it to be. When you're updating the comprehensive plan, what that's doing is the capital improvement plan is actually part of your comprehensive plan. So that's the amendment to your comp plan, is when you formally adopt it, that it goes into your comp plan. And the amendments to your city code are to adopt the new fee number and some other, kind of, I'll call them de minimis changes from your current code, but it's just to bring it up to date so it matches your current plan. So what's been discussed for the public is really everything that's going to fill in all of the following items. But they aren't, so there's not really anything like the comp plan. There's nothing different in the comp plan discussion than what you've already just heard.
Thank you.
Does that clarify everything there?
Yeah, that clarifies it for me. So our primary action then is really to choose whether or not we adopt these fees, and then the rest are a cascade into, the required impacts of that action.
Right.
So I'm supportive of what we've been presented here tonight. I like your call out, Mayor Chadwick, that this council, this city, really demands the growth pays for itself, and that the impacts that are so significant to our community are funding the infrastructure and the services that are required to keep this a great place to live, to enable our firefighters, our police department, all our EMTs, all of our service personnel that we really rely on when it counts the most, to be there for each and every one of us every time that we need them. So again, supportive of this, and I don't know if anybody else wants to say anything or we go into a motion.
You go to a motion, we can discuss it during.
All right, Mayor Chadwick, I move that we approve the new impact fees at the maximum amount, and that in doing so, let's see, we adopt the capital improvement plan and development impact fee study, and again, those fees at the maximum amount. That in doing so, we update our comprehensive plan and amend our city code.
That's it.
That's it.
Do we need to state the amount or just go with the maximum? Because I need you to pull it back up, Sean, if we're gonna.
The maximums in the report, which was presented and was discussed as part of the public hearing. So
Okay.
I think it's fine, and it'll actually be part of the ordinances and stuff that you'll adopt as well. So
Okay.
Yeah, and resolutions. Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion
I'll second that.
and we have a second from Councilwoman Salmonson. Do we have any further discussion?
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilman Nielsen?
I'll just state that the reason I propose that we adopt it at the maximum is because it's my understanding that in this fee schedule, if in 4 or 5 years we look and we're just collecting money that's well beyond what we need, we can go back and reduce that fee during this impact fee period.
Okay. Any further discussion?
No, other than just to reiterate that growth is what's causing the need for more fire stations and more fire trucks.
Right.
So if that's the fee that it costs to cover that.
Because we also, I guess, so the maximum fee structure for residential and commercial, right? Do we need to claim that or just I just want to make sure that we're covering everything because it's a little bit different this time than in the past. No, I know, but so before we had 38 cents a square foot for commercial, 809 for residential. That was it. Now we have 4 levels of commercial and the residential component and multifamily component and townhome component. So do we have to break that out or do we just say maximum fee is presented? I just want to make sure we're covered.
As long as you probably say fees instead of fee.
I will amend
Fine.
my motion to include impact fees as presented in all their levels.
Okay, thank you.
And I will second that.
All right, so we got an amended motion, amended second. Sorry, Jacob, I know that makes it crazy for you, but I just want to make sure that we're not doing something that's not right there. Okay, hearing no further do you got any more discussion? Jennifer, anything? Okay, hearing nothing further, roll call?
Nielsen,
I
Salmonson,
Aye.
Wheelock.
Aye. Yeah, that motion carries. Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to our first public hearing for land use tonight. It's going to be the public hearing for the Milled Olive for the conditional use permit. Just to let everybody know the process on these land use public hearings. I'm going to open the public hearing. I'm asked the council if they have any ex parte contact or communication on that. After that, the applicant will come up to present the project. They have 20 minutes. We do have a timer on the wall right here. I think Sean, you're doing the timer? Who's doing the timer? Ryan's doing the timer. All right. In the back. And then we'll go on to public comments. If you want to speak, you must sign up on the sheets in the back to speak. And then the applicant will come back up and have a 10-minute rebuttal. And then the council could ask the applicant and staff questions at that time as well. And then I'll close the public hearing, the council will make a decision and deliberate on that. I think I covered it, right? Yeah. So with that said, we got to fix that clock. The light shines off of that, so it's hard to see. Okay, it's 7:52. I'm going to open the public hearing. And ask the council if they have any ex parte contact or communication regarding this project.
None.
No.
Councilman?
None.
None. Okay, hearing none. The applicant is invited to come up to speak. Please state your name and address for the record. I'm sorry. I skipped a step here. Sean's going to present the project real quick and then the applicant will.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. You have before you this evening the Milled Olive conditional use permit. This application consists of a conditional use permit for a mixed commercial use, including a retail store, wine and beer lounge, retail storage area, outdoor concessions, and event space. The application requirements have been met, including the submittal requirements, agency transmittals, legal noticing, site posting, all in compliance with the Unified Development Code. The applicant has been reviewed for compliance with the city comprehensive plan and the zoning ordinance. You do have 2 late exhibits in front of you, ACHD staff review and Star Fire District review. Items for discussion this evening for council include setback allowance along the northern boundary of the property, cross-access easements, fencing, food trucks and farmers market use, restroom facilities near the food trucks and farmer market area, additional landscaping along the northern boundary, and hours of operation. Staff is recommending approval of this application with conditions. Again, the property is located at 1133 South Main Street, which is on the south side of Star Road, just north of the Boise River and close to the River House in the Star Park. The applicant has provided a detailed site plan for staff's review. Also have provided elevations of the buildings. And that is all.
Okay. And then do you have the applicant's presentation?
They're going to use what I have up here.
Oh, they're going to use okay. All right, the applicant can come up there and state your name and address, please, for the record.
Jessica Heggie, 306 Northeast Second Street, Meridian, Idaho, 83642.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, we are proposing a mixed-use commercial development on 2 acres on Star and Main. I want to go through some of the elements on it. There's quite a bit going on site, but it's fairly simple and unified. So on the main building, we have a couple different elements. We have, of course, the milled olive, which is the main purpose of the development. We have approximately 7,000 square feet of retail space. That square footage also includes back of house storage, office, accessory spaces for that place to operate. We have a storage component of that, which is approximately 4,000 square feet, and that is for their backstock of product. We also have a 2,000 square foot beer and wine lounge, which is on the south side of the main building. And it also have an outdoor entertainment space for guests to use. The 2 auxiliary buildings are storage. It's approximately 1,400 square feet, and it'll just be used for more or less maintenance of the development and additional storage for the space. And the third space for the building is the lower southeast corner, and that is a concessions building. There is a small commercial kitchen and an employee restroom in that space, and an additional outdoor public space. We currently are showing 4 food truck / farmers market spaces, and that's really just to designate we're providing spaces for power for anyone that would be parking there and being a part of the community. So in the main building, the retail space is on the first floor, and then the other part that actually triggered the conditional use permit is the event space on the second floor. It's approximately 3,000 square feet. That 3,000 square feet is not all event space. There is a small kitchenette break room to serve the space, and there's also smaller meeting rooms with the purpose of serving the business community for the most part. Business meetings that we have all throughout the day. Having nice spaces to meet is always a benefit for the community. The larger event space on that second floor, we've designed for about 50 people. So like a small bridal shower, getting ready for a wedding, no wedding events necessarily. The space is just not large enough to accommodate that, and also not conducive really to the rest of the site. Would you go to the exterior of the main building, please? Thank you. We designed the site to be cohesive with Star. We really wanted it to look like a barn that was converted into a commercial development. So we have a really beautiful 2-story volume for the retail space, and we've split the left half of the main center of the building. Part of that's retail, and part of that is back of house, kitchen, stairs, office spaces to serve the rest of the building. On the right, we have the right on the bottom elevation is a darker brown building. That's the warehouse space. So really we wanted to make the whole thing blend. We really wanted it to be beautiful. It really doesn't have a back, so to speak. It may be the north elevation would be the back side of the building. So our main facade, which would be the front of the building, it's on the bottom elevation, and we really wanted it to be the front of the building. The hard part was we also are on Star Road, and that is the back of where the main entrance of the building is. So we designed the building really from those 3 main sides and really wanted it to be a showpiece of Star. It's a main driving space through into Star, and we really wanted to make sure that when you drove into Star, you knew what the community was about and really be a really beautiful piece of architecture when you came into the city. Do you have any questions?
Anybody have any questions of the applicant at this time?
Mayor Chadwick,
Councilman Nielsen.
what's the water tank for? I mean, obviously, other than water.
We actually aren't going to put any water in that. We're just going to use it for signage was the main purpose of the water tank. We planned on having one on the corner of Main and Star, and then also on the other side on Main towards the river.
And will that be lit signage?
Yes, lit signage, not digital display type of lit, just lit so that you can see the building.
Okay, any further questions? Councilwoman?
Yep, thank you. So I did notice that regarding your parking, you had noted 17 spaces that would be out on Main Street, I believe. So is that included in, is that number needed to meet the parking spot requirement?
It is not. No, we're required 50 parking spaces. It's 49 and some change. So 50 parking spaces. We currently have 51 spaces on site. We have 17 on-street, and ACHD's report did say they allowed on-street parking for the expansion of Main Street, which we would be required to develop and then dedicate back to ACHD. We wouldn't stripe it necessarily, which wasn't my intent. It was more of just showing the count that we could get on the street. But yes, that is all additional excess parking for summer events, just things that happen.
Yeah, okay. And regarding like pedestrian access, so would there be any access on the west side along Star Road? Or do they have to go, if they're, going down Star Road, do they need to go through the driveway up to the east entry, the main entry?
So if you're walking down Star Road?
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't currently have any access. Fencing was part of the discussion piece here. We have it designed currently to be a secure site off hours. So we have fencing all the way around it, solid fencing that fronts both of the residential parcels that we have, and then a combination of solid and open fencing for the main and the Star property lines, just depending on what's kind of going on behind it. So we kind of have a couple things we're trying to accommodate. Main and Star are super busy roads. Star's a very, very busy road, and we have some public space on the southwest corner where the beer and wine bar is. And so we wanted to accommodate some solid fencing to help with noise, create a better atmosphere for the guests that would be at the property. So with that, yeah, we don't have any direct pedestrian access from Star into the property. They would have to walk down to where the vehicular access is.
Pretty good.
Okay. Yeah, let's see. Sorry.
Let me kind
Yeah,
of follow
go
up
ahead.
question real quick.
Yep.
So in this ACHD report, did you say that they did approve the on-street parking? Because this report says no.
The one that I had read, maybe the last one did not. The last one I had read said that it was allowed in a 36-foot right of way. And I think it's the city of Cuna and the city of Star both have the same road section for Main Street, which includes the on-street parking.
So this, just so you're aware, the one that we just got handed today says that striped and dedicated on-street parking on Main Street is not approved.
Yes, we're not allowed to dedicate it or be on
dedicate.
striped, but
Okay,
we are
that's what
allowed
it
to
is.
have on-street parking.
Okay, gotcha. All right, thank you. Sorry, Councilwoman. You got another
Okay.
question?
No, that's all right. Thank
Okay.
you. Another question I had. So regarding the concession stand, what type of concessions, is that going to include alcohol or just non-alcohol food and drinks?
We've only discussed non-alcohol food and drinks. Just trying to secure people with alcohol could be a issue down on that end of it, especially with the vehicle access being there. So I would imagine most of the alcohol will be in the beer and wine, and the rest will be serving just the general population visiting the river, hot dogs, soda, water, that kind of thing.
Great, thank you. And then regarding the event center upstairs, so you mentioned it was for 50 person that it would hold about. So I think it says somewhere that like that space would mainly be used during the non-business hours. So what hours would that be? Like, yeah, just explain the hours for both the retail and the event center.
I wrote down the hours. So in our application package, we had submitted the milled olive and the wine bar hours. So I can find where I noted them down. So currently we have milled olive is anticipating having hours Monday through Saturday, 10 to 6, and the beer and wine lounge Monday through Saturday, 10 to 11. So most of the anticipated use of the event space would be after hours, evenings, weekends. It could coincide a little bit with the Saturday timeframe just from an event standpoint, but most of the events would be after the main hours or on Sundays. And there is a separate entrance we've designed for the event space so that the entire development can be locked and there's access to the event space without the rest of the building being open.
Great, thank you.
More questions?
No, I'm good for
You're
right now.
good?
Thanks.
Councilman?
Yeah, I have a couple here. We, in some of the questions, there was a cross parking, cross access on the north side for future commercial headed north. And that was designated in those first three spots from the from the long storage building, would you be willing to leave a access to the east in front of where the dumpster is, if that were a potential change at some point?
I think our conversation might be on the security of the site. If we're spending the small fortune to fence it for security, having cross-access easements basically negates that entire purpose.
Yeah, you can come up here, Miss Angie. State your name and address for the record.
Angie McGetrick, 12247.
Pull that down too.
To the midget size. Angie McGetrick, 12247 West Pavo Street in Star, 83669. The reason we fenced the entire property off was for a liability issue and not to have people on the property when we're not there. And so we'll actually have, like in the front, the entrance that's across from the river. The goal is to not, have people who want to go visit the river park in our parking lot and kind of go hang out at the river, but because then it puts us in a liability issue. So if I'm understanding the question.
Yeah, but I think I can expand on that just a little bit. I think if it had a cross-access agreement during business hours
Oh, I see.
and you could still close it down at night would be optimal for all the properties involved up there to have circular traffic is what I'm thinking, not necessarily after hours, because you can still put the gate in there.
Oh, I see.
Not to close it down.
Yeah, I think as long as fire is okay
Right.
with that not being part of the apparatus access to any of those sites, I think that would work just fine.
So we'll have to, well, if that's a requirement, we'll have to have Victor. Do you want to speak to that, Mr. Victor, right now? Did you hear the question? So down there where the dumpster is, can we have cross-access agreement for future access into the easterly property?
I'm sure we can make something work.
Okay, all right.
Just if that turns into commercial, it just helps everybody have a better access, in my opinion. My other question had to do with the front patio, I guess. Is that lower end on the south side
Southwest corner. Yep.
gonna have a patio with anything, or is that just a patio?
It's
That
patio
makes-
for outdoor seating for the beer and wine. So to have people have the ability to sit outside at an outdoor table, kind of like, like Sully's has their little outdoor patio, kind of something along those lines, or like Tap House and Proof have that little patio area,
Perfect.
something along those lines, just for people to sit outside.
Yeah, that answers that helps me. With the little concession stand area and food court or food trucks, would you be providing a bathroom down there for public? How would that work?
We have an employee restroom currently in the concessions building. The security again is the issue with having a public restroom down there and whether it's locked or unlocked. The building is going to be partially seasonal, so it's also not going to be unlocked during all hours. So at this point, we're just showing an employee restroom, and there will be public restrooms in the retail space for the Mill Olive building.
Okay. Okay, that helps me. Thanks.
Okay, any further questions of the applicant?
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilwoman?
Thank you. So I'm kind of stuck on the idea of fencing the entire perimeter. It seems to me like just our community, we want to, people are talking about small town, hometown community. And to me, when you put up a fence, and I get it with the security, it kind of takes away that warm, inviting feeling. And so I'm wondering if there's anything that we can, are you open to maybe taking out the fence along Star Road Personally, I would like to see some pedestrian access to, to the building so that they don't have to walk all the way around if they don't have to. But yeah, fence would prevent that. I think if we were to encourage, we talk a lot about walking and biking and encouraging those modes of transportation. But if we put fences up around entire buildings, kind of going against that idea.
But at the same time, you got to look at the location of the property and the character of the folks that go down there at the bridge that are operating down there. That becomes a challenge for a property owner. We don't say that a property can't anywhere else they can't put a fence around their property. I think you could do a nice open style fence in the front that gives that warm feeling on there, and do what you want to do and do what they want to do, right? And kind of combine that a little bit. But honestly, we could have the police talk to the challenges that happen down there at the bridge and underneath the bridge with the graffiti and stuff like that.
And that's our concern, Councilwoman Salmonson, is
Can you speak in the microphone, please?
oh, I'm sorry. Our concern is, again, the liability issue and the potential for any kind of damage to our property. And with an open fence, with maybe a gate access that we could lock in the evening when we're outside, I don't think we would be opposed to. But part of the backside of the building, if we were, I'm not sure if we can look at the picture or not, but the backside of the building that faces Star Road, where we would have the open fencing and we have like a little kind of a patio area outside. If anyone's seen our store right now, we kind of like set little things like garden things outside and different kind of, decorations. And that's also what because right now we're having to pull all those things in at night from outside inside. And the goal is during operational hours and even into the evening would have the ability to leave those items outside. And so the concern would be that our items could potentially be stolen. So the goal is to have like, cute little yard art and things like that for sale like we do right now, but not have to bring all of that inside. And so that was another reason we were wanting to fence that off. Obviously, it would be, presentable from the street, but that way we have the ability to provide garden items and things like that as well.
Got it. Thank you.
So I just to go back to what Councilwoman was saying, is there a way to put a sidewalk stub from Star Road back to that backside, or is it better to come off of Main Street off of that corner to that where that little curve in that sidewalk is, so you don't have to? I mean, what you're gonna have. Well, I guess if you're fast, everybody's gonna have to come down to the opening to walk in. But I don't know if you can have a gate maybe where that little curved sidewalk is there on the corner.
That would be our closest option.
So do you, Ryan, you show them how to use that little light button thing? Highlight it.
Nope.
Can you highlight it with that?
Okay. So this is covered patio. This is covered patio area here. This is a greenery that's included in this fenced in area since there's alcohol being served. So we anticipate having let's see if I can do this, fence straight down here. So potentially right in this area, we would be able to have a pedestrian gate and connect up into that curved sidewalk right there.
Would that resolve your question?
Yeah, that would make me feel better.
Okay, that'll make it feel better. I mean, really, you want pedestrian access. In the long term, we're going to have a hawk light going across. They're going to be working on the west side with the sidewalk before they do any improvements. So you're going to have some pedestrian traffic coming through. So I think it would be just better for you as well. So.
And honestly, I mean, I think, your business, like I see a need for this, this here in Star. And so with a bar and wine area, and there's a lot of neighbors that live around that area. So it'd be nice if not everyone's, if people can get their not only in their car, but if they're coming from, even Pinewood Lakes, that they can walk over. And so every less, few less steps, I think, can make a difference between somebody driving and not. Absolutely.
Okay. Any further questions of the applicant?
None for me.
Nope, I'm good. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, we're going to move on to the public testimony portion. On this portion, the public has 3 minutes to speak. Again, the timer will be up there on the top. I do have 11 folks that signed up in favor. 10 of them signed up as not to speak. I just need to ask Mr. Thomas if he wanted to speak or not speak. No speak? Okay. All right. You never speak? Okay. All right. So that, and those, all the names and addresses and stuff will be noted in the staff report at the end. We did have one that was against, Ms. Susan Weiss. If you would like to come up and state your name and address, please, for the record, and the floor is yours.
For the record, my name is Susan Avis. I live at
Sorry.
That's all right, you're close.
Apologize.
I live at 210 South Main Street. And I would like to talk to you about Milled Olive. As I'm sure you're aware, South Main is part of the Dixon subdivision, the oldest subdivision here in Star. It is a residential subdivision. Some of Star's longest residing residents live on South Main, residents that have been here much longer than you or I. The approval of the Milled Olive will be the first project to significantly change the character of the street. Yes, we have a church, but it's a church. We also have 2 assisted living facilities and apartments that look and function as residential living. We also have the Star Senior Center, which is a low impact facility. Because of the lack of forethought by previous administrations, we are now reaping the consequences of poor planning. In an effort to create a downtown area, this administration was instrumental in changing the zoning to central business district, which allows for a considerable leap from residential. By approving this project, you are setting a precedent for future developments. Besides the LDS Church, the Senior Center, and the River House, the Milled Olive will be the only other entity that does not function as a residence. This is a mammoth, and I'm coming off of some plans that were offered up as a meet and greet this summer, which looked like it was quoting an 8,000 two-story building with 35 feet in height, 52 parking spaces that back right up to longtime residential homes to the east and the north, outdoor venues, a garbage collection area that also backs up to the fence of a residential home, increased traffic, noise, and light pollution yet to be determined. Entrance to this facility is on a blind curve, which if you drive this section of South Main, you often find oncoming traffic in the wrong lane. And if I'm reading the rendering correctly, you also have parallel parking on South Main. Keep in mind, we have the Beer Guys, another drinking establishment at the other end of the street. Beer Guys has totally inadequate parking, causing cars and trucks to be parked up and down the street. During the summer months, it too becomes an outdoor venue with exceedingly loud music that is intrusive to the neighborhood. By approving this project as what we were seeing, are we creating the same thing at the other end of the street? Is it really in the best interest of the residents of South Main and the proximity to Star's public access to the Boise River to create this additional congestion and the first commercialized venue with the size and scope of this project? And just FYI, based
Your
on
time's about up there, just so you know.
okay, based on the 8,000 square feet, that's the size of fire stations 55 and 58. So you're approving a fire station size facility down there. There is such precious little ground this close.
So if you can just wrap it up.
This is my last bit. There is such precious little ground this close to Star's greatest amenity that I would implore you, Mayor and Council, to keep this in mind, as well as keeping in mind that whatever decisions you make are greatly affecting the quality of life for the residents on that street, as well as the appeal and the accessibility to the Boise River.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Okay, we're going to move on to the neutral sheet. We have Mr. Gary. Do you want to speak? There you are. State your name and address, please, for this. For the
Gary
record.
Avis, 210 South Main Street, Star. The concern I have is just the size of the facility and the disproportionate, in my mind, parking spaces that are allowed. Across the street, we have the River House, which has hosted similar events to what this is being proposed to host: weddings, reunions, those sorts of things. You have an entire parking lot asphalted there with many more than 52 spots. So the number of parking spots you have here is far inadequate, let alone considering the ones that are shown being on Star South Main. So I would propose that you reduce in size the square footage of this project so it's more in harmony with the space allowed for parking spots. And anyhow, that's my main concern.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Ms. Cheryl Cronk.
My name is Cheryl Cronk. I live at 1015 South Main Street, Star, Idaho. And I will be, you can see my house right there on that picture. My concerns are if the lights in the parking lot will be the same as it's shown there, so that they don't like shine in my house or the next door neighbor's house, would be awesome. I'm also concerned about safety crossing Star Road. And putting a gate in for foot traffic would be great, but also just getting from one side of Star Road to the other is taking your life in your hands right now. So I don't know if there's an answer, if there's something coming down the pike, but if there isn't, it needs to be addressed somehow, some way. If it sells again, if they decide not to do this and you guys have approved it, hours of operations, I would like you guys to make sure that they stay the same. Just because there are some houses there. That concession stand concerns me just a little bit. Garbage from that has to go almost a half an acre to the dumpster. I don't know how they're going to do that. I mean, I know I work in the food service. I know what they do with garbage, and it is not going to make it there unless you pack it into something. So that's a concern. Also, the bathroom, because they will park along that street. They do it now as it is to go to the park or to go to the river. Where are they, if they're at that concession stand, do they have to go clear into the Mill Olive to use the restroom? That's another concern. Otherwise, I know where they go when they're over there as well. I don't want to see it. And those are my big concerns. I know I'm out of time, but those were my big concerns.
You still got 40 seconds.
No, I'm good. I'm good. So just think of some of those things. Those are concerns. Oh, one more. Outside lighting, they said the signage would be on those water tanks. Is there going to be bright signage on the building at all, or lit up signage that would show up on the back side of that building rather than just on the Star Road side? And if so, will those go off at a certain time?
Okay, she'll answer those questions. She comes back up.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. I think, Miss Heidi, are you here? There you are. Okay.
Hi, my name's Heidi Prigge. I live at 208 South Main. I also have resided at 960 South Main and spent approximately, which is embarrassing, 28 years on this road. So I understand that it's going to be commercial. I get it. I understand the zoning. And what I really want to do is set a precedence for the future development, because clearly that's going to keep happening. So this project, I mean, I'm neutral. I mean, it is what it is. My concerns about all the projects coming in would be the lighting. I'm hoping that the lights aren't on all night long because we are people that are sleeping. And this project has talked about how they want to have the security and safety. So I'm concerned that they'll have bright lights on all night long, which won't be great for surrounding neighbors. The parking on the north and the east side, all those lights at night turn right into the residences. So I'm wondering, can the parking be on Star Road? I mean, because who's looking at Star Road? So, I mean, that was just something. The noise. I live by the beer guys, and unfortunately, they don't have to abide by a noise ordinance. It's out of control in the summer. They have an echo chamber going on, and the noise from them is unbelievable. So I'm just wondering how they're going to keep that at bay. It is an AE flood zone. That lot is low. So when they build that up, I'm concerned about if any of that water would be going into the Cronks. Is there anything to secure that where all that water will go because of the zoning of the flood zone? And then also the borders. When we have, it's hard to have commercial abut to residential. I get it. No one's going to be really happy. Can't imagine it. But is there any way we could really say like 6-foot wood fences, deciduous and conifer trees, berm, something to just like kind of protect the neighbors? And then, of course, my biggest concern is once these folks get a developmental agreement, they can sell this. And then what, I mean, it could be like Hooters. I mean, who's gonna be the watchdog? How will we ever know about what that future development is? That's what I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Decided, Kate. Okay, that's all that signed up to speak there. So we could have the applicant come back up. Has 10 minutes to answer the questions that have been brought before her.
Jessica Heike, do you know my address?
No.
All right. See, hopefully I can answer everyone's questions. So parking, the only rebuttal I have on parking is that we are meeting and we have one additional parking space per the zoning requirements currently set. The site is super tight and it's super funny shaped, and we've done the best we could. And I can assure you we would have put more parking on there if there would have been any other square footage to accommodate parking. So we completely maxed out what we could. We tried to accommodate the residential parcels on the north and the east as best as we could. And that was what the solid 6-foot fence on those property lines is for, is to block the fact that it is commercial and residential. We also moved the building, I want to state. Originally, we were looking at putting the building on the east property line, which would have put it right, basically tucked up against both of the residences on both property lines. And instead, we wanted to front Star Road, being that it is one of your main commercial drags in Star. Exterior lighting. So we would be designing based off of the dark sky ordinance lighting, and it does not, basically it's lighting that keeps the light pollution on your own property. So yes, we would have lighting on site for security purposes. It would be on a timer, typically is how we do it in commercial. It'll go on based off of it being dark outside. So it would be on at night. However, the light pollution will not go on to the neighboring properties. Star Road crossing, ACHD does address the Star Road crossing in their report, and they did state that there would be a future pedestrian crossing, and I want to say it was 2025. So that is planned. We have trash located centrally on the site.
Dana, we lost the. Hang on 1 sec for me. Hold that thought.
Perfect.
Are we good?
We have trash centrally located on the site. The site plan she's referring to from the summer has been changed, so it is now right there. What she had, it was up here in this corner, and after working with Republic Services, we did move it and accommodate their backup requirements. And centrally located, I think, will work best anyways. We're only allowed to have one trash enclosure on site. Signage lighting. We're just really, I mean, we're still in schematic design, but we're really just thinking normal signage lighting. We're not going to have LED displays with, extravagant light pollution onto the neighboring properties. It's going to be a milled olive sign with some downlighting to just highlight the signage when it's dark outside. Water retainage on site being in a floodplain. So our civil engineer would be able to be much more intelligent about this, but we will design per public works requirements. We have a couple retainage areas outlined on that site. There's one right here and one right here where we're looking at doing some sort of underground on-site retainage because yes, it's a floodplain and we will have to raise the elevation. I want to note residential has to do the same thing for any new development. So it's really kind of a moot point. Selling in future land use, I can't really talk to selling it. I do want to note the only thing that really triggered our public hearing was the event space. Everything else on site is an allowed use. That's all I have. Thank you.
Any further questions of the applicant? Sean, do you have comment?
Mr. Mayor, I just want to explain the staff's thoughts on the cross-access easements and give the applicant a chance to discuss it if necessary. So staff has a recommendation that these 3 spaces be considered for future cross-access. And until the time that the property to the north would redevelop, that they can maintain those as parking spaces and have their fencing. And then depending on what develops over there, whatever use develops there, at that time, staff can analyze that and decide whether it's appropriate to have cross access. If it's a, first of all, if it stays residential, it would never need to be accessed, or if it's a lower intensity use or something like that, we can look at that time. And the same would go for that proposed access here on the east. So I just wanted to point that out, that this time, until those properties ever redevelop, we can look at it at that time, but you would still have fencing and parking would still be maintained. Bring that up, and I don't know if you have any comments on that or.
I think that, so just the 2 comments would be the security aspect, that we would be allowed to lock it off hours as the applicant or the client intends. And then also removing the 3 parking spaces would put us under parked on the site, and that would be allowed.
Yeah, so we'll recognize that in the findings if you choose to accept that condition, and make sure that those are addressed.
Okay. Any questions of the applicant?
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilman Nielsen?
So some of the concerns brought up were the potential for noise, especially after hours. You mentioned that the patio would be similar to what's at Sully's and potentially Tap House. And in those locations, I know they do have outdoor music, live music and stuff that occurs up until 11 p.m. Is that your intent to provide that sort of venue, or is this simply, as represented, just extra kind of outdoor dining and seating area?
That was the intention. We've actually talked about having those type of activities, but it's been a conversation inside the wine bar.
Yeah. So you're okay with a condition that it remains inside?
Yes, we are.
Thank you.
I just want to add to that though, if we condition it that remains inside until such time that the property to the east develops into commercial. I mean, you don't want to forever hold that. I mean, you're trying to protect the residential customer.
Yeah, I like that.
I just want to make sure that that's
That'd be great.
there. Can you state the hours of operation again that you're going to be? I know Miss Angie said it. I thought I wrote it down, but I can't.
Milled Olive is Monday through Saturday, 10 to 6. The Beer and Wine Lounge is Monday through Saturday, 11 to 10.
Okay. So no Sunday operation?
Yeah, I think it was 10 to 11.
10 to 11 p.m.
Oh. Is it
Okay.
10 to 11 p.m.?
Okay. The what? Operation? Yeah, you want to talk about the farmer's market and food truck?
Hours?
Yeah.
Angie, can you clarify?
So you want to come back up here and?
So yes, that would be on the weekends as well. So that would be 9 a.m. Because you want to go, you want like, I mean, we don't have, we could do 10 or 11, right? But you want the bigger, like what the worst case scenario. So 9 a.m. to 6 p.m.
That's pretty much Friday, Saturday.
Yes, and Sunday for farmers markets. Yes, please. Same.
Okay. Monday through Saturday,
Yes.
10 a.m. to 11 p.m. Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilwoman?
So regarding the food vendors, food trucks and the farmers market. So I know, I believe Sean included a condition in there that says that food trucks will need to get a vendor's license. Would that need to also apply for like the farmer market people? I mean, if they're selling food, do they, or Jacob, do they need to get a permit? Or does that operate underneath Milled Olive?
Mr. Mayor, I don't believe we, for the SWIDBA farmers markets, I do not believe we require those individual vendors to get vendors licenses. For the food trucks, we do need to make sure that they're covered. Jacob has requirements. They have Center District Health requirements that they have to meet. But as far as the vendors themselves, they would not need to vendors licenses, because I'm assuming they're going to be different ones every time.
Right. Just local businesses making,
Yeah.
you know, sort of like the event at the River House, just, or people who do fruits and vegetables or something along those lines. Like a traditional farmer's market you see when you walk through, you know, little towns in Oregon, that type of thing is, I'd like to get some fruit and vegetable vendors to bring that kind of like an actual farmer's market feel.
You need to turn that on.
I'm going to turn it on now. Is that something that Victor needs to address with permits or anything like that from the fire station?
Mayor and council, yeah, any food truck that operates has to comply with the fire code, which means an annual inspection and sticker. And then it'd be the responsibility of the whoever's conducting that activity to make sure that they're in compliance. And then we do spot checks throughout the year. We'll stop by to make sure that we can see that they are in compliance. If they're not, we make sure that they will be in compliance.
In compliance, you're going to get a taco.
No, sir. No.
So Andy, maybe you can explain what you have in mind for the farmers market. You know, is it similar to like, I think SWIBA does something here on the weekends, but they shut down the entire parking lot and have a number of vendors. And so are you thinking it's going to be something of that size, or, you know, something very small that just fits in that 4 or 5 spot?
Yes, something very small that just fits in that little dog leg area down there that we've designated. Yes, down in that small area, down in the corner, just, you know, something, like I said, I'd like to, I see the requests a lot for people who want like fresh fruits and fresh vegetables. And so I was hoping to maybe work with some of the local produce companies and, you know, farms and things like that. Kind of, you know, I'd like to do something along those lines where people have the ability, you know, to walk and, you know, get fresh vegetables and things like that.
Right.
Was my
So-
intention and my thought.
Okay, so it's not necessarily that you're going to have, you know, a big farmers, like City of Eagle, they have a big farmers market every Saturday. And then, you know, there's all the vendors are in your parking lot. And then, you know, there's overflow parking, you know, outside of your site. So that's not what you have envisioned.
No, my intention is just to have that little dog leg area down there on the end and just maybe set up a couple tents or something along those lines where.
Okay. And so if that's the case, and it is much smaller than I think, you know, staff was, and there's discussion about possibly a need for a bathroom, but if we can limit it to just that small, 4 vendors or something, then, I don't know if we would need a bathroom, another bathroom, or maybe a porta potty would be sufficient for different events.
Well, would the hours of operation on the concession stand be similar to the food trucks only, or would that be open seasonally?
Well, right now, we had talked about just having it open during the summertime. Is kind of what we had chatted about was, to provide, like, we were talking about before, like hot dogs and, nachos and ice cream and, random things like that. So at this point, I think our intention was, or our thoughts was just to have it open during the summertime and more seasonal. Because it's kind of, not a lot of people are going to want to go to a concession stand when there's a lot of snow, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I'm thinking more towards the evenings. Is that what hours is that open till, I guess, for the evening for the residents that are just through that fence?
I would think probably during the summer months, because it gets darker later, I would assume it would probably be the same, like the same as the beer and wine area.
The beer and wine.
10 or 11.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any further discussion or comments or questions for applicant or staff? You have one, Ms. Jennifer? You want me to hold for a minute?
Yep.
Yeah, we're
Sorry.
gonna hold for a
Thank
minute.
you. I got it. So regarding the conditional use permit and it, like what you said, the event center is really what triggered the need for it. So Sean, like my understanding is, if they sell the property, does that conditional use permit doesn't transfer to the next owner? Is that correct? Oh, it does transfer.
It does. It's transferable.
Oh, okay. Okay, never mind.
So can we put a condition in there that they come back for a CUP if it's a change, just so you can address some of the concerns? Is that possible, Chris? I mean, I want to make it work for both sides.
Excuse me, the conditional use permit is obviously for the use, right? And so if somebody came in and bought it and they were doing the exact same thing, then they would not need to come back in. If they came back in and said, we're not going to do the event space up there, we're going to do something entirely different, then the conditional use wouldn't necessarily apply to that new use. And so in that scenario, they would have to come back to the city and say, we're changing the use from what was conditionally approved to something else. So we now need a new conditional use.
Yeah.
But if they're doing the exact same thing, you wouldn't necessarily require a new owner to come back in and say, we want to renew the conditional use permit so we can buy this.
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilwoman?
Could we limit that to like the size that they're proposing? So I think it was how many square feet?
Upstairs is 3,000 square feet, but part of that 3,000 square feet is our offices and storage. So that's not all being in a break room for our staff. So that upstairs 3,000 square feet is not all event space.
So would like half of the space, or
I think it's about 3/4, half to 3/4.
okay.
That's event space.
So would that be an option to?
You could, I mean, part of your conditions, right? That's a conditional use, allows you to put conditions on it. So you could put a condition on it that the event space can't exceed whatever it is, 2,500 square feet or some number. You could also put limits on capacity if you wanted to, whether it's 75 people or something. I don't know. They mentioned 50, I know, but then maybe you can't put it that may be a little tight because you may have some overflow or something. So those are kinds of things that are legitimate conditions that you could put on it so that even somebody new coming in wouldn't be able to just kind of blow the space out and do something a lot bigger than was currently intended.
Chris? I mean, Sean?
Mr. Mayor, I would suggest that you adopt the specific square footages that are proposed, and that you make a condition that if the property, if the business sells, then they would have to come in and get a new zoning certificate, and at that time, staff would review it for compliance to make sure that they are still under the thresholds of the parking and all the other requirements are met. If they don't meet, if the new business doesn't meet that, they might have to come back through another conditional use permit. But that's probably the way we should do it.
And our hopes is Milled Olives is around for
Yeah.
40 or 50 years. I mean,
Yeah.
homegrown business getting bigger. Okay. Any further questions of the applicant,
Mayor Chadwick?
Councilwoman?
Thank you. So regarding the sidewalk on Star Road, so in ACHD, and I think that the applicant, you've proposed a 5-foot sidewalk. Is that, and was it detached, 5-foot detached sidewalk? But that is an arterial road, and so in our code, I believe for arterials, we have a 7-foot width. So would you be willing to change that to a 7-foot sidewalk on Star Road?
That'll be the start to go north.
Yeah.
I would have to look at the last ACHD report. I thought they approved the sidewalk as is.
They did. They approved the 5-foot as is. But for the city, we can request that it be
Because
larger.
it should be 7 on
And
our code. It's
does
7.
require the 7
Yeah.
feet.
Yeah, I think the clarification then would be the additional 2 feet that the ACHD has requested beyond the sidewalk line, if that increases that 2 feet or if that encompasses the additional 2 feet of sidewalk.
Oh, in the right of way.
Right.
That's
So-
something I think it needs to be worked with ACHD then on what their intent is with that widening.
Because this is the pathway that's will be part of their plan that we've recently worked on with them. We're requiring ACHD to build it 7 foot on the west side of Star Road all the way north. And so we'd want this one to match that, at least to the corner.
What was the reason? Do you know? Well, ACHD's here. We could have, what would be the reasoning? So we can have, just state your name and agency and address.
Name is Aaron Williams with Aaron Williams, ACHD, N283 West Chad Street, Wizyato.
So what is the reasoning why would ACHD go with 5 foot on that when we're intended to go with 7?
Well, so ACHD, we provided recommendations. So you guys are totally right in the fact that you can ask more from the applicant. The reason why we went with that was for consistency along the corridor.
For what?
But as that area, I mean, there is no sidewalk on that side of the road. So
yeah.
as it develops and our standard is 7 foot, I think that, we're in our right to, start with the 7 foot for this section.
You guys are completely right. It's okay to ask for more from the applicant. That's just based on our policies and where we're at. But you as a city, since it's your city, you have the right to make those requirements.
And so regarding that 2 extra foot that is needed for behind the sidewalk that you stated in your report, with that 2, is that 2 extra feet in addition, if we're asking for 7 foot, do they need to provide 9 foot total to include that 2 extra feet that's not the sidewalk?
So I'd refer to looking at the application again and talking with Mindy, our development services, and figuring out how we can play with the right of way.
Okay.
So I'm gonna follow up on this just with you. That open space, when you look at that sidewalk where it's at on Star Road and you got that white space going to the fence line, that's all ACHD right of way, correct?
Correct. Yeah. And the previous property owner had already done the ACHD dedication of the right of way, went the rezone. So it's really hard to see, but yes, that dimension is the ACHD right of way, and that is the property line.
So then there's plenty of room to make it 7 feet without encroaching any further on your property.
Correct.
Based on what
Right.
Mr. ACHD?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. You know what's beautiful is we don't get anybody here from there, so it's awesome that you're here to ask those questions.
Yeah, it's
All right.
fantastic. So I guess the same question applies to, I believe that is that Main Street that circled around, or is that's Main Street, right?
Correct. On the south and then heading north as you go east.
Yeah, so would you be willing to extend that width to 7 foot as well?
I don't think you're getting the 7 feet on Main. With
No,
the-
I
With
think
the
it's
right of
too
way that's
narrow.
there. Uh-uh.
It is so tight right in that
Yep.
area. I mean, it basically made almost that entire section of site non-usable once we did that plus landscape buffer. So if the landscape buffer encompassed some of that addition, I think that would be doable, but pushing it even further, it just makes a lot of non-usable site space.
I'd rather see it stay at 5 and have landscaping.
And so that's going like around that.
That's on the Main Street side, yeah.
Okay. Okay, well, shut down on that. No.
And also, Mr. Mayor and Councilwoman, keep in mind that when we met with ACHD out on the properties, the south side of Main Street will be a 7-foot sidewalk because we asked them to continue that. So basically, it's going to start on the west side of Star Road, 7 feet, going all the way down to past Hercules, and then it'll cross Star Road with beacons, and then it'll be 7 foot on the east side. I think I said west side. I think I screwed up on the start on the west side, come down past Hercules, cross over, and be 7 foot on the east side to the corner. Then across the street, it'll continue 7 foot on the south side of Main Street all the way up to the River House.
Yeah, and so, Sean, with that, I think that project is scheduled to be constructed in 2026.
25, 26, yeah.
And so regarding the timing of installing the sidewalk, would it make sense to put that money that it would cost into a fund and have it all installed at one time? Or do we want to have it done, as they develop this property, and then the pathway is tied into this piece?
I would recommend them working with ACHD. ACHD might already have plans to do it, but they're going to be designing and constructing that entire section. So I think we let them work with ACHD. Maybe ACHD will do it. If not, they might require them to just bond for their portion. So I'd let them.
I would prefer them not bonding for their portion and stuff because we've seen sidewalks here take 10, 15 years to get done. I would
Good
rather be
point.
done with the development.
Yeah, good point.
So, and today's cost instead of future cost.
So in that case, then it would just, sidewalk that'd be installed in 2025, 6, 7. That would just tie into this project and they would install the sidewalk.
They're going to only install the stuff on the
Yeah.
north side.
Exactly.
ACHD is doing one on the south side.
Yeah, and
Just the boundary of their
Right.
property.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Any further questions of the applicant? One more chance, Miss Jennifer.
No, I'm looking. Yeah, no, I'm.
Okay, good. Any further questions?
Okay.
Okay,
Thank
good.
you.
It is
Thank you for your patience.
8:53, and we're going to close the public hearing and move on to council deliberation.
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilman Nielsen.
So generally, I'm supportive of this application. I want to just talk generally also about some of the concerns that were raised. Particularly about any decision that's made by this body tonight is going to, fundamentally change Star, or that, at least that portion. And, I agree. But it's not because of the decision that we might make one way or another here tonight. We've got a property owner, and that property has certain rights that come with it. And the purpose of what we're doing here tonight is to judge whether or not the application that's being proposed matches up with our ordinances and with all the conditions that go along with the rights that applicant has or that property owner has to their property. So I think excluding the CUP, which is really at the council's discretion, really our purpose here tonight is to judge on the basis of the merits of the application and not whether or not we like it or don't like it or what effect that it will have on the community. So on that basis, I find that this application is in compliance with our comprehensive plan, with our unified development codes. I find that the conditions we've talked about tonight that we might encumber this application or this potential approval with of potentially providing cross access to neighboring properties at such time that they might develop are appropriate, that the sidewalk width that Councilwoman Salmonson's talked about will be consistent with our code as well and provide for better walkability and that within our community. I think the hours of operation are good. The condition to be able to limit the activities that may occur, in the event space and the outdoor space to not include loud music and so forth that goes late into the night, at least until such time as we get other commercial development around there, if that ever happens. I think also provides protection and preservation of kind of that, that quiet neighborhood feeling. So I'm satisfied with the work that the council's done here tonight.
Okay, anything further?
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilwoman?
So thank you, Councilman Nielsen, for saying all that. I agree with all that you said there. And also, this application wouldn't have come in front of us if they didn't add that event center. And because of it, I'm happy that we were able to add, maybe a few more conditions, and get it to what we really want in that area, rather than it just, rather than it not coming in front of council. So, I guess thank you for I trust the process, right? So I guess
If you want to make a you can make a motion if you want. There's always more discussion.
okay, I will go ahead and make a motion. I'll take a stab at it. Okay. I move that we approve the conditional use permit for the Milled Olive, including all the conditions that are included in the packet. In addition with the additional condition that the conditional use permit, if the property sells, that it comes in front of council again.
Staff.
Or sorry, it comes to staff
As a CZ, as a certificate of zoning compliance. Yeah.
Yeah. So that piece, also that the conditions as stated in our meeting tonight of the hours of operation. The 7 foot wide sidewalk along Star Road. Is that?
You have, Sean has.
Those cross easements are already in the conditions.
Do you want to add the walk fence that you talked about up towards the top?
And I'd like to add a pedestrian gate along Star Road for access, foot access on Star Road.
On Main Street?
No, on Star Road, the back of the building.
No, you got to do it on Star Road, what we talked about on the corner.
Or
on Main Street, I mean. Yeah.
On Main Street.
On the corner down there.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you. What else am I missing?
Sean, do you have all the conditions that we're talking about before we?
Yeah, we'll reemphasize the lighting for the parking in the buildings to meet the dark sky initiative. The cross access easements, the north and then the one to the east. And staff will analyze the future uses of those properties and to determine when the cross accesses are in place. And if so, the parking may be reduced to accommodate the cross-access easements, and gates for fire access will be reviewed by the fire district. I've also added drainage will be retained on site per the city engineer's requirements. You talked about something, but keeping something inside, and I was writing. I didn't hear what you guys were talking about.
Is the music.
Yeah,
No,
man.
no,
Music. Okay.
no live music or I don't want to limit it to live, but that the outdoor areas are kept to seating and dining only, and not live events or played music.
No amplified music?
Amplified music. Thank you.
And that was until
And until the neighbor, until there's neighboring commercial.
that's all I had.
Okay.
Thank goodness. Thank you for filling all that in. Yeah.
So that's
thank
a-
you. I make that motion.
Yep. Do we have a second? Do we have a second? Anybody?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
The only thing I would add is that as I looked at this application and see the effort that they've made to make the building appealing on every side, I think is going to be a nice access and a nice accent to the entrance after you cross Star Road. And I would just like to tell them I do think that's shown in their efforts. So,
okay.
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilman Nielsen.
One last thing that I failed to bring up earlier. I mean, we kind of talked about it, that lighting on the water tower for signage. The applicant did say they intended to use down lighting. I know we have some lighting code as well that really, I think a lot of that, as I remember, we put that code together, we were really considering signs that were kind of down lower to the ground. And so the concern that I would bring up, and I think we should include in our motion, is that the lighting that is shown up on that water tower, wherever it's provided, a lot of times that can be seen from the side. So if somebody in their backyard or in their house has got a window opener, out trying to enjoy their house, you get what I'm saying, that light could be shining in their eyes, even though it's not illuminating their property from a distance. It's there. And so I'd like to make sure that we address that.
Mr. Mayor and council member will put an additional condition that lighting for the water tower sign shall meet the dark sky initiative as well.
Okay.
And that should take care of that.
Okay.
And I think, I mean, dark sky really addresses up, but I'm also thinking out, right? So if you got a light mounted horizontally, it may be a down light, but it also may be at such an angle that it really is obtrusive into a neighbor. So I think we want to look at that design to make sure that light isn't just contained, but it's not directly visible from neighboring properties.
Mr. Mayor and Chairman and council member, what we typically do when we review this with the zoning certificate and our design review committee is we put a condition that all lighting is subject to further dampening once it's placed. So, 'cause sometimes we don't know until they're up.
Okay, so are we covered under that?
Yeah, so
already?
we'll cover it under that. That way we can have some further review of it.
Okay.
So we're covered. Do we need to amend the motion? Or are we good? I think we're good through the design.
Good. Yeah.
committee. Okay.
So we got a motion, and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Wheelock.
Aye.
Salmonson.
Aye.
Nielsen.
Aye.
The motion carries. Thank you. All right, we are going to move on to item 6B. You need a facilities break? Okay, we're gonna recess for 5 minutes, come back at 9:10 for facilities break. is yours.
Mr. Mayor. Yeah, before you this evening, Mayor and Council, Talega Village. An annexation and zoning. The zoning will be a residential R10 DA. Rezone from R1 and C2 to R10 DA. Development agreement. Conditional use permit for multifamily residential. and a
Sean,
permit-
may I interrupt you for a minute,
and
Mr.
preliminary
Mayor?
plat.
We were not unmuted. Can you start over again, please?
Sorry, you can't.
And thank
keep it
you.
up.
Then we'll have everything on the record.
All right, we're gonna start over again, okay? Is it ready? We're good now. Okay, it's 9:11. We're gonna open the public hearing on the Talega Village. I ask the council if they have any ex parte contact or communication.
Still no.
None.
None.
Okay, hearing none. Sean, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You have before you this evening Talega Village. Annexation and zoning with a residential designation of R-10-DA. Rezone, which is R1 and C2 to an R10-DA designation. A development agreement, conditional use permit for multifamily residential and a preliminary plat. The total acreage on the project is 74.61 acres. The annexation portion is for 40.48 acres. The rezone is for 15.2 acres. There's a total of 18.93 acres of commercial and 55.69 acres of residential. The gross residential density of the project is 8.98 dwelling units per acre. Total lots are 181, including 161 residential, 1 commercial, 19 common lots. There's a total of 500 residential units, including 65 single-family dwellings, 95 attached townhomes, and 340 apartment units. The application requirements have been met for this project, including the submittal requirements, agency transmittals, legal notices, and site posting. The application has been reviewed for compliance with the city comprehensive plan and zoning code. This does meet the comprehensive plan land use map that was adopted by council. Late exhibits, you have 2 of them before you, a late ITD letter and a late Star Fire District letter. Items for council discussion this evening would include the residential density, parking requirements, future commercial uses, traffic concerns, potential phasing of the project, access to the old Grange Hall property, guest parking for the townhomes, Hamlin Avenue's 7-foot sidewalks, usability of parcels G and H, open space and amenity usage for the entire development, access to Amazon Falls Drive prior to construction, elimination of common driveways in the townhome area. This property is located on the northeast corner of Highway 16 and Highway 44 off of Hamlin Road. It's adjacent to the Amazon Falls development, the Wright Brothers development. This is the preliminary plat that was submitted by the applicant. This is the site plan for the multifamily. They've also included elevations of the townhomes, the apartments, and the single-family dwellings. And this is a current layout of some of the existing and future residential uses that are immediately adjacent to the property. I will stand for, actually, I won't stand for questions. I will just let.
And those, all those, the futures have been approved already?
Yes, these are all approved. The 2 to the north are under construction for their first phases.
Okay. Thank you. All right, we got the applicant here. Can I speak? And do you have a PowerPoint or anything that you're pulling? Oh, you're pulling it up. Okay. And if state your name and address, sir, please, for the record.
Dennis Jordan, 2145 West Secluded Court in Kuna, Idaho, 83634.
Okay, go ahead, sir. Do you got the clicker there? Does he have the clicker?
I do have the clicker, yes. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you again for your being here tonight, Council and Mr. Mayor and staff. We appreciate all the hard work that has gone into this and try to be cognizant of our time as we are getting later in the evening. To recap what Sean shared with us, the Taliga Village is a residential and commercial mixed use development that we are proposing to be developed on the corner of Highway 16 and Highway 44. The development was designed to try and coincide with the City of Star's comprehensive plan. Many of the comments and things that we are trying to accomplish with this align with the vision, population, economic development, and the land use within that area. Things that we're trying to accomplish there are to encourage walkability, encourage that ability to provide housing for many different types of people in your community. Let's see here. As we look at the comprehensive plan again at large, you can see the area located is highlighted on the right, where we transition from a commercial to a higher density residential to a compact residential and then a neighborhood residential as we move from south to north. As you'll see with the proposed plan, we do that. We're taking the commercial area and providing a buffer as we transition to the north into those residential development at the top. We are looking to continue to further out, build and connect to those other mentioned plans to the north and to the east, providing this area to be improved with the proposed improvements that are coming with the transportation. So just as a quick recap again, showing you those phases and commercials, and I know that's something that will be discussed is how this will be phased. Moving forward as we have apartment multifamily, phase 1, 2, then the townhome multifamily, then phase 3 single family, and looking at phase 4 is commercial development there. This is intended to help this to be progressed through that we can be able to meet any of the traffic and other requirements that will be necessitated at this time. At this point, we don't have a lot of other details for you at this discussion. And just kind of recap, as we're looking at these elevations to improve and continue to have that small town feel that Star City is known for, try and amplify those things. And yet, as you have your growth plans coming forward to meet those needs as well. Are there any questions?
Oh man, we got lots.
I know.
Just so you're aware.
Oh, we know.
I'm going to start. I'm going to start just so you're aware real quick. I have concerns about traffic. Huge. You have no access really right now currently, except for a right in, right out at Hamlin. I don't know, I couldn't remember that name, but at Hamlin. With the proposed uses that you have, your entire development, when it comes in, and granted, it's going to take years to get it done. I get it. You're going to have 4,500 vehicle trips added to the system right out of that limited access currently. We already have 21,000 vehicle trips that come right in front of your development on Highway 44. That's a 20% increase. How are we going to accommodate all the traffic that's proposed to come out of your development onto our highway system and the limited road networks that we have?
I think that's a great question, and it's really a matter of timing, right? As we look at this, you mentioned this is not going to be built all at once. We're going to phase this as we go, and looking at the adjoining properties, as we'll see those be built out as well. We have to take that into consideration as we look at what impact this is going to have on traffic. So to look at this in an isolated sense, you're right, that would be an impact. But if we zoom out and look at it from a more global sense, as we do these things and we can have those discussions, traffic impact for each of those phases, and we can discuss them as we go along with this, I feel that we're going to be able to mitigate those issues as we go.
So I'd like to know how we're going to do it, because the way you got it phased, multifamily, townhome, single family, that, right? The multifamily is going to generate roughly 2,300 new vehicle trips. That's your first phase. The townhome, 684, the single family, 614, and then the rest of it is with your commercial side, right? The phasing, the challenges we have right now is obviously, if you look right out here in front of Start right here, right? It's not completed yet. The state highway department is not going to do it for 2 years. What's your anticipated timing of doing, if this were approved today, the timing to do your multifamily project that you want to do first on there to add that 2,200, 2,300 vehicle trips to our network that's already slammed right there in that location? You see what I mean?
Yeah,
I mean, we got a lot of concerns. The traffic is the number one complaint out of everything, and we all sit in it every day out here. So,
Yeah, I mean, to your point, the timing of this, I think is important. As we go through and as far as a date for that, look at, Jason, do you have a timeline on that?
you come up here and, yeah, you come up here and just say your name and address for the record and just kind of, if you could answer that question.
Jason Ramsey, 823 Speck Avenue, Suite 5, Caldwell, Idaho, 83605. No, the intent is to build multifamily. I mean, if we're approved, we'll pursue it.
Right away.
Right away, yeah. Full completion, those projects are phased. So an anticipated construction timeline would probably be 2.5 to 3 years to complete 340 units. The units will be built and occupied as they absorb. If there's no absorption, there won't be any building of the buildings. That's the way they built them. I've done several projects with them. And we intend to build it all at once. And if the absorption is good, we continue through it. If not, we continue through it at a little bit slower pace.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Before I take up any more time, I have the council ask questions if they got questions.
And with the traffic, we have, when we met a couple years ago with all the parties to be, it took a significant amount of effort to get ITD and ACHD on the same page for access and accessibility and multiple traffic studies. And so it's not that your concern with traffic is unfounded. I personally live just down the road in Middleton. I understand the traffic concerns.
It's all Middleton.
So, yeah. Middleton is I think we discussed that a couple of years ago, my opinion on that, but I'll keep it to myself tonight. But yeah, the traffic is something that I believe when it's fully built out, it's a great use for City of Star and the potential for the revenue and what it will bring to Star. It's an ideal location because you're not in town. And a lot of apartment complexes get put in places where they're not accessible. And the good thing about this, it is going to be on a major north-south route, which will dramatically increase accessibility and access to Star. It would be terrible to put 340 units right in downtown Star, but where you're putting them, you get best of both worlds.
It's just getting them onto the roadway and back on safe, right? With all the traffic that we got going through. That's the challenge that we're going to need to figure out.
Yeah, and there's been to say that there hasn't been a considerable time and consideration and effort into the traffic. I just want you to know that.
Sure.
When we met originally, that was your request. We'll get CHD and ITD on the same page and bring this back to us. And that's what we've done with the tremendous amount of effort that has happened. So we're working towards an effort to where it'll be a great benefit for the City of Star financially, but also a low impact on traffic to where it's located. It's a pretty good spot to have that type of density and use.
Okay. So. All right. Council?
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilman Nielsen?
I just want to be really clear up front that I can only speak for myself, but personally, I don't care what the financial benefit is to the City of Star, other than what's in our comprehensive plan, which does, indicate that we want to be a viable city. Personally, if I find it meets that, that's great. But any sort of benefit financially is not a motivation for a decision here tonight.
Well, I misspoke, and I hope you don't intend that.
I don't know if you misspoke, but this is an opportunity for you to declare a better intent, maybe.
Yeah. Well, the intent is that it produces revenue for the city, which you need similar to impact fees, right?
Right.
You need that revenue, and you have 340 units at $2,300 per door. That's significant opportunity for the city to invest in infrastructure that it needs.
Yeah, for sure.
And so that's all I meant by that. No intent other than that.
I
It's
appreciate
opportunity
that
and tax revenue over the years. It's significant benefit to our any community growth is. So, but I'm not saying that it's benefiting anyone other than the benefits that development brings. So I don't want you to misconstrue that comment. So
Thank you for that clarification. And yeah, because those are the things that are contemplated in our comprehensive plan that are important. And so, yeah, moving on. So, kind of related to this, the letter that we've got here from Middleton Star Fire District recommends that we table this application until further work can be completed on the traffic and access plan. It says, as stated above in this document, the current plans provided by the application do not provide for adequate access or response from emergency services. So I'm just curious, you probably have seen this letter tonight, hopefully.
I think that letter was sent around 3:30, so I personally haven't read it.
Okay.
But, it's interesting that it was sent at 3:30 right before the meeting. Doesn't give us much opportunity, although involvement's been from the very beginning. Over 2 years ago. So
would you like to see this copy of it? I'd be interested in your any initial thoughts on what that might look like as far as bringing the current plan up to a point where there is adequate access or response from emergency services. And because I don't know what that, and maybe we can have our fire department talk about that a little bit here and get a few more details around that.
no, I can't answer your question 100%,
Okay.
but I did hear Sean mention that, there would be additional road requirements built, and that probably would. And we can ask him that question, but I can't speak to that other than it sounded like, Sean, is that access into Amazon Falls? Is that what you guys said in your report? Which would greatly, anyways, that improves the accessibility to that site significantly from what's shown on the plan, but it is a requirement.
Okay. Here's one that you probably can answer. And Sean, if we could go back to where it shows the elevations of potential buildings. The single family homes, I love those, the kind of older style. Except for one, I don't see a garage. Is this representative of what you plan to build? And if so, are they going to be alley loaded or, the last thing I want to do is have a representation and then you guys go build something totally different.
Go ahead. So the pictures of the multifamily units are actually of the plans, that they are the intent for the pictures of the single family that you see are for the alley load townhomes, and that's the way they're designed, intended to be used.
I'm sorry, you said alley load townhomes or single family?
Alley load townhomes. The single family piece doesn't have any alley load. So there's actually, I think we were trying to portray more of the architecture on the far right hand side for the single family. The ones that don't show the garages were for the alley load townhomes.
Oh, got it.
In the layout. The multifamily units are the picture of, they're on the left.
So let's be clear. So for the top row, the first three going left to right, those are elevations for townhomes?
They are, yes.
Okay. But then the townhome elevations don't look at all like that. Down in the second row, those four pictures, it says townhome elevations.
The townhome elevations will.
Am I talking Greek?
No, I understand what you're saying. No.
So this is going to be a
So
townhome.
those are yeah, because those have to be. I know they have them labeled there, but those are for the townhome alley load product.
Yeah, because they really look like they have one entrance.
That's true. If you look at the overall site plan, you can see the alley load.
Okay.
And that's where those would go, as in the alley ones. But that is, sorry, I wasn't looking at the labels. I was looking at the elevations for you. So.
Sure. And so then this one right here, that's more representative of the single family.
Well, the single family, the lot sizes that are in there would have 2 and 3 car garages, but the idea with that, they would be a modern craftsman style to blend in with the city of Star.
Awesome.
The apartment buildings have over 50% brick on them, a full size like brick. A recent past project from the same developer was done on Midland and Cherry in Nampa. I don't know if you've seen that by the just west of the Costco. And they actually are a really nice product for multifamily units, and they look really good and live more like a townhome for the residents. They have 12 connected garages for the 20-unit buildings and 6 for the 10-unit buildings. And so tenants actually have access to their apartments through the garages.
Nice. Okay, thank you.
So I'm gonna just ask a question, sorry, follow up. Is the townhomes attached then?
Yes.
So it's gonna be different than what you're seeing up there. But you're saying that that's architectural representation, right? Is that what you're saying?
The townhomes I believe there's some attached and some detached townhomes, and some are rear load garage and some are going to be front facing garage. So you have a variety of product throughout the development. And so the ones that you see that you don't see the garages on are for the alley load townhome product.
All right, go ahead, Kevin. I'm sorry.
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilwoman?
So if we look at the site plan.
Can you pull
looking-
up the site plan, John?
I mean, the townhome section, I think, is in the middle, and those are all accessed from the
Can you pull it up?
street. But that's a pathway. There's driveways along all the frontages of the street. So it. And then there's a couple of flag lots over there. Which I believe, we don't allow for those, so you'd be changing that.
Oh, no, that's the right, same one. Okay.
So it doesn't look like there's any that are the alley load in the map.
Well, all the ones.
So you can use that.
I can't see it. So this would be the front of those elevations that you're seeing?
Well, oftentimes with those, the rear load.
Here, make sure we get speaking the mic too, because online.
Oftentimes those are the rear load type products where they face a common court. So the garage entrance is not necessarily lined up with the front of the home. So that way, when you see that, back to some of those elevations, the front of the home is interior facing to the common court, as opposed to next to your garage with your traditional front load type home.
Yeah, so not a true alley load, but
Correct.
your front elevation faces.
A street load alley facing.
Common area face. Yeah, something like that. Well, I mean, if that's what you're going to build, I think that's awesome. I honestly, I love that look. I think it's timeless. I think it makes for a good community that that people want to live in and have ownership of and rebuild and restore for decades. Right. And one of the things that I love to see in plans like this is a viewpoint that lasts more than 50 years. Are you going to build a product that's going to be here in 100 years and people will still like it? And I mean, a lot goes into that, including quality of materials underneath, but it's also the style. And I think that's classic style. So well done. I hope you build it.
Okay, further questions?
Sure, I'll go ahead. So regarding the phasing, so you have the apartments to be first, which is a bulk of the residential and the traffic. Is that correct? Or is the commercial, will the commercial bring more traffic for the study?
Commercial bring less.
Less traffic. Okay, so the most traffic will be built in the first phase. And then the second with the townhomes, and the third with the single family, and then last commercial. So, we do, yeah, I mean, we have a major problem with, lots of cars on the road. People don't want to add to it. And so would there Is there, I might be more interested in this project if you could reverse that phasing to do the single family homes first and then build out from there. And so I'm just going to throw that out there. Is that an option?
It isn't with this developer, no.
No? Okay. Okay.
I guess at a roundabout thing about this whole thing, we're gonna have to talk about the whole traffic thing and its phasing process, right? I mean, sometimes the single family, I can see with only 615 vehicle trips per day, makes a lot less of an impact than throwing 2,200 on something that does not have true access or good access to the property. So we got to figure that out in order to make this work, right? We're asking to rezone something that's already commercial to put all that multifamily in. So there's got to be a big sale for that. I know it's in the comprehensive plan that says that now, but right now the entitlement is C1 and I have a traffic issue. You got to sell me on that. I don't know how this is going to work. How are you going to get the traffic in and out of this project so people don't get killed on Highway 44 in Hamlin or Short Road? The Short Road is not light. There's no light there. So if the traffic's got to go east to go to work every morning, there's going to be a problem. So how are you going to sell that on here? I'm a little frustrated that we have a 5-page presentation on something that's so massive. You got to sell it. You just don't come in and want to do. You got to sell it and tell us how it's going to work for the community that's here and to protect the community that's here. So I'm just putting that out there, I guess.
Mayor Chadwick,
Councilman Nielsen,
can I ask you some questions?
you could ask me a ton of questions.
Right on.
I'm game for whatever.
Well, and I think this is part of the whole conversation here, right? But I'm looking at ITD's report, and they're saying that, I mean, the TIS hasn't been done. You know, according to item number 3, they're saying that a TIS is required. Now, I don't know where you are at in that process, or if it's, you know, it's probably expensive, so it's waiting.
Well, there's a TIS in our packet.
Well, there
that
is,
they have.
but it's not the one they're talking about here.
No, it was done and accepted by ITD. I don't know why they put it on their letter.
Yeah, so they're talking about this like is it future state, right? And talking about some requirements that they may place on this in the future, depending on what a TIS says. But so it's done, and let's pretend that there isn't going to be any more, even though I can't tell that for sure. We don't have good access off of Highway 44, which means that we're not likely dealing with a lot of people trying to do that, especially where it's right in, right out. I mean, you know, if they need to go left, they're going somewhere else. They're not coming onto Highway 44, at least not at that point. And so I mean, I guess my question is, are we really going to see all of those trips occur at that access on Hamlin, or will it be spread out over Highway 44? And if it's spread out over Highway 44, then I mean, all that development that was done in Eagle, does Star get to pay the price and leave that corner blank forever just because Eagle built out and Middleton's driving through? You know,
No, my whole point is that development, we got to get access to the people that are going to be there. There's not going to be an issue once the access is all there. Once you have the developments to the north and to the east that get developed to provide those accesses to Floating Feather into Palmer. But in the short term, how are we going to get this traffic in and out of here safely? Because in my opinion, one life is not worth it a project.
No, it's not.
Right? So how are we going to get this? How are we going to make this work? What have you done to work with the neighboring developers to try to escalate Hamlin Road to go all the way to Floating Feather, or the one to the east of you that has that access that comes all the way to Palmer, right? Eventually Palmer Lane is, and we're working on this now, is going to have a stoplight. That's the easiest access, right, for everybody. But we got to get them there. The only way that you got right now is Hamlin, and then when you build out your connection to Short Road, you have a little bit of access, but we're still dealing with a traffic problem when most people go to work in the morning and trying to cross that road right there, right? I mean, that's what I want to try to figure this out. I obviously we approved this comprehensive plan change years ago for something like this, right? But we need to figure this out. We need to figure out this whole dynamic in here on how this phasing is going to work. And I think Ms. Jennifer was just bringing up, if you did a single family, you have a lot fewer traffic counts now to get going on it, right? Until you figured out this other stuff to get the multifamily in there. Everybody wants to do multifamily, right? But no one wants to do the commercial. You see what I mean? We've had some developments where we said on multifamily, before you can build it, you got to put 50% of the commercial in, right? Because that's not your focus. Your focus is on the multifamily. And I get that. But we got to protect the people in that multifamily to get out of that project and into that project. So that's where I'm going with it, Kevin, because I know in the future you're going to have that connection. But what is the timing with the developers? Have you spoke to them in the north and the east to get that connection for you to make it viable for you? Because you're on a tough piece of property right now, right? On there to get people in and out of that.
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilwoman?
So when you talk about that connection, I mean, just looking at this map right here, and the true connection is Hamlin Road. I mean, there's nothing coming down from the north.
Well, Hamlet,
See, and then going east-west, I mean, there's a little bit through that development on the east, all through that development.
so Hamlin Road is going to go all the way north through that Eagle development up there, where they're going to go over the canal on their property and connect to it in a project that's already approved. And that Hamlin Road ties into the new Floating Feather connection, I think. Is that right? Yeah, up there. And that's a major access. And that's a huge thing on timing on how do we get that done? Or even the I don't even know what's the one next Corey Barton. What is it? Fountain Park, right? Even though there's not a true collector there that goes straight through an arterial, there's still access to Palmer to get these people in and out on there.
So that Hamlin Road is, though, really a key access point
For them.
for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hamlin's there only right now
Right,
until
and
they
we're-
hook up to.
Well, and there's not an issue
north.
because they would have
Too
to
short.
build out the connection to obviously to Amazon Falls Drive, right? Because it's on your property and you would have to connect it to the development to the next, right? And that gives you two contacts there, but not safe access, I guess, to that project.
Only one of those would be able to go left, if I'm right.
Right.
Right?
So-
Short Creek is the only one that go left because you couldn't go left.
Amazon
out of
Falls
Hamlin.
doesn't go right in right now.
Which one?
Amazon Falls is right in right now.
On the short drive?
They're both right in, right out. There is no left.
Is that right?
In the future.
I thought they put a,
Currently, you can go left.
oh, the long term.
Full functioning.
See, and this is the other challenge we have. So they're going to be building that. So when they put that overpass over 44 from 16, the intent is to turn Hamlin into a right in only. So there's not even a right out. And so so we got a lot of dynamics that we need to figure out and work on this whole project in order to make certain that anything that's approved is safe for the citizens, right? And for you guys. I mean, the last thing you need is clients that come in there and get hammered driving on the road.
I like the overall place for it.
I agree.
I,
Yeah.
and that's the catch 22 is the overall location is good for the majority of people for access if we can figure out how to put them on a road right.
So we got to figure out this phased approach with you guys, with the accesses all around. So we need to, I mean,
So can I also add, so with State Street, just right in front of us, and it's gonna be widened, right? And is it gonna
Oh,
be?
here, you mean?
Yeah, right here.
Yeah.
So when is that going to happen?
Probably 2025.
Okay, and so until then, oh, and that's probably, I mean, if this project is approved, I mean, that might be around the same time that this project would be completed. And, hopefully a lot of these residents are coming into Star. Right?
They'll be coming this way.
Yeah, and so just thinking about like that extra traffic, yeah, yeah, they all are gonna have to take a right and come into Star and go shopping, which is fantastic, but the impact that it's gonna have on State Street now that's already over capacity, maybe not technically, but is we all know it. If there's any delay in it, this is going to add even more to it. So I don't know if we could include something in our stuff that says, that this section out here has to be completed before, as part of the transportation plan to figure out this.
I'm gonna make a comment. Chris, help me if I'm wrong with this, but this is what I think. We continue on with the hearing, get the people that are here to speak, table it so you guys can work on it, try to figure out this access stuff and address the concerns that the fire and everybody has, and come back with a bang up presentation that tells us how we're going to do all this stuff. Because in my mind, I can't clear, I like it. Don't get me wrong, right? I get it, but we got to figure it out. That's our responsibility up here to make sure that it's all right before we approve it, or if it's not right, because you can't get the accesses on there, right? Or what the timing is of that. I mean, you're saying that you need to build, your plan is to start it right away. What's the guys to the north going to be doing? I mean, that's going to be market driven, probably. The guys to the east will be market driven. So how are we going to do that? Do we need to delay some of the project until such time that it gets done? I mean, we need to figure all this stuff out on there. Can we do stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, you can always table it for more information. And so I think that you're describing it, Mayor, I mean, there's obviously some serious concerns that have been expressed tonight. If the council's not ready to approve it or can't find a way to resolve those concerns, there is an opportunity to table it, have everybody work together to try to find a solution and bring it back.
Yep. But I do want to get to, we only have one person that wants to testify in his Chip, right, on this thing. And so I think we continue asking them questions, get everything out on the table so they know exactly what it is that we're looking for on there and our concerns are, and then we come back and hammer it out. Oh, is this it right here? What do you give us? Presentation? Oh, I got you. Okay, got you. All right. So you guys have any other concerns with the applicant or questions that you can ask them right now?
I'll wait until the public testimony.
Okay. You have anything?
Wait or go now, either one.
Yeah, go now. You just get it out there so he has a list so he can talk about it.
I'm more curious about the road widths and stuff like that. From my point of view, everything is tighter than I'd like it. And I'd like that addressed in the conversation for the road widths.
Which road specifically are you referring to being tighter than you?
Probably most of the townhome and multifamily.
Can you tell us what those widths are?
So those, within the townhomes, they are 50-foot right of ways, 36 back of curb to back of curb, meeting minimum requirements. Hamlin is a 60-foot right of way.
So it's gonna be treated like an arterial, right? Or a collector? Which, collector? Okay.
Okay.
And wasn't there a concern about the sidewalk width?
So all of the townhomes are 36 feet curb to curb, plus parking stalls or whatever in the driveways. And then the apartments has what are the road widths there, I guess?
Drive aisles?
Drive aisles, whatever.
Staff requires a minimum of 26 feet to meet fire requirements for the drive aisles in the multifamily.
And there's no parking on those drive aisles. That's just the drive aisle itself. So if you look at your plan, if you have a parking on this side, a drive aisle, and a parking on this side, you got 66 feet. Is that right? 20-foot depth stalls or 20-foot deep stalls. And that, so it'd be 66 feet overall.
Does that show in this plan anywhere? Am I missing that?
It doesn't show them, but
Okay.
not yet.
I would love dimensions on that because it seems pretty narrow from my point of view. I know I recognize bigger vehicles generally.
Your crane won't fit in there.
No, you're gonna need it though.
The, any further questions or something right now for the applicant or comments?
Yeah, Mayor Chadwick.
Councilman Nielsen?
There's a little blue square on that map. Can you tell us about that blue square? Not this map, but
The Grange.
yeah, right here.
I could speak a little bit to the Grange.
Yeah, if you can.
Spoke to the owner of the Grange multiple times. She inherited the building. She lives in Utah, and she's requested access, but she can't really do anything with that right now. And so, but we have provided for access for the Grange for future use. It is privately owned right now, but in the event that she would want to sell it or do something different with it, she could. And she, as far as I know, she's not intending anything in there or anything last time I spoke to her, which has been a few months ago.
And she doesn't want to sell. I mean, it seems like
she doesn't want to
buy it if
yeah,
anybody.
We tried. We spoke to her and it didn't materialize. She's attached to it. She inherited the property. So there wasn't a big draw to make that happen.
Okay.
So the access that you're talking about, is that cul-de-sac that you've included there? Okay. I thought I saw in the
Oh, I see. Yeah.
ACHD report that wasn't sufficient evidence or sufficient access to that site. But do anyone else remember seeing that?
No. However, Victor, does that turnaround work for fire? Right there with that, what do you call that? A quarter, half cul-de-sac?
Which one, Mayor? The one down at the bottom there?
Yeah.
Yeah, we would just need to make sure the dimensions are appropriate to get around there.
And it provides an access for the Grange, correct? That's where it's coming out of, right? On there? Okay.
We can work with the applicant to kind of create a cul-de-sac with a little hammerhead on the Grange as well.
Okay. Oh, I got you. Okay. Yeah. I can't see it on there, so. Was that your question, Kevin, then?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, I see. Okay, I see the access on there. You can't see it on that one.
Well, I'll go ahead and go now.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Yep.
So regarding the amenities, it sounds like, we do have I would like to see more amenities added. I think somewhere in our code, it says that multifamily development with more than 100 units, council shall require additional amenities commensurate to the size of the proposed development. So just as you go back and you come back to us, I would suggest adding a few more amenities because that might be something that I would be requesting. The other item, let's see. So Amazon Falls, they do have a public road going through their development. And there was a note in our packet here that says that, possibly, if we could do that timing so that that public road would be built prior to, and I don't know if we can, that might help you as you go back and figure out the transportation system, maybe work with Amazon Falls and see when that public road is going to be built, and that may help. Let's see. Pedestrian pathway. I don't know if you were here earlier. I'm big on pedestrian access and pathway and bikeways. And so I would like to see what your pedestrian plan is or network. I think that there's a canal on the north of the site. And so if you could include a pathway easement along, I think it's Dry Creek. And then south of the site, in our master pathway plan, we do have a like a highway pathway along that frontage. And so if you could include that in your plan when you come back with us. Let's see, and I think that's all I got for right now. Thank
Okay.
you.
Anything further from council? I do. So some of these things that Sean talked about too, a little bit, you know, like the future commercial uses, kind of lay out the details of what those are, right? What you're anticipating, and there's a big box. Is it, I know it's your last phase. I get it, right? But what are you anticipating to go in that area? Guest parking for the townhomes. Where are we going to park the guests on those streets inside the townhome area, right? We had a recent project that we approved that we required them to come back and provide some guest parking based on our code requirements for that, right? Because it's going to become a problem that those are private roads in there, right?
So the only one that would be private is the one that's going to stub into the multifamily portion.
See, the rest of them are public roads. And it's going to be a nightmare for police if people are parking all over in front of folks without guest parking right in front of the homes.
You're referring to this one right here?
Yeah, I think that's what you're referring to, correct? As being private going
That's
into
what you're
the,
talking about?
Let's go to the south more.
This right here?
South of that. Or sorry. Let me flip my head to the west.
This? You had that labeled as public.
hang on one sec. Yeah.
The intent is to have them to be all public throughout this, with the exceptions of some of them in the single family. One thing that was discussed with staff was this road that connects in here to consider what is that designation of public or private right there with that one. The rest of these, the intent is to be public.
To be public roads. So we need to look at some parking then for the guests in that townhome thing. Then Hamlin Avenue, having 7-foot sidewalks, and what does that look like? Because that's our code, and Hamlin's just like you heard, I think, on the one prior, right, on our arterials and stuff. The usability of parcels G and H, or what the open space amenity usage for the entire development. Your access to Amazon Falls Drive prior to construction, and elimination of common driveways in the townhome area are things that we need to discuss more in depth and detail for you guys. And I would really like to have a true layout of what that. It seems like we blocked out the on some of this right here. It's so light on the multifamily side of it. What does that really look like? And where's the amenities? What Miss Jennifer's talking about and stuff like that that are going to be part of that. Because once it's approved, you're coming in and getting your building permit. We got to make sure that we're covering everything inside here at the city for you guys on that. Does that make sense? On there,
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilwoman.
So I'd also add, it suggests that like ACHD, they had 2 options regarding the public versus the private road. And they actually recommended that you turn all the roads private, maybe except for Hamlin. And if you don't, then they had a number of conditions, that you'd have to comply with. You do in a separate number. So when you come back, I would like you, just to be prepared to, answer to some of those questions if you have any, and just be able to speak to that.
And we want to probably try to keep as many roads public as we can because our police have a challenge.
I would agree. Yeah.
With
I
doing
would
that. So
yeah, to keep it
know.
public. And it sounds like that's what what they
that's what you're trying to get your
Yeah.
intent. So
Yeah, I think
yeah.
that would
Best
be
thing you can do is
fantastic.
maintain them too.
And wide.
Right? Okay, any other question or comments or anything for?
Should we get Chip?
Yeah, well, do you guys have anything further to say before we bring up our one lonely speaker tonight?
Not at this point.
Okay, all right. Thank you. And we're gonna have Mr. Chip come up here and speak. Jason already spoke on air, right? So we'll have Chip come up here and speak on the he was on the neutral sheet. That was the only one that signed up.
Yes, I'm Chip Sitten, live at 1095 North Culver Creek Place in Star, Idaho. Just for full disclosure, I'm on the historical committee that reports to the city council. And Sean, if you could go to slide 16, please. The blue rectangle that you see there in the center is the Liberty Grange Hall property. I have been in regular contact with the property owner there. It's a 70 by 30 structure that was built approximately 120 years ago. It was remodeled by the current property owner to become a destination for weddings and receptions and that type of thing. Beautiful hardwood floors. The beams on the ceiling were replaced with laminate, which I met with a fellow with Pacific Movers that moved a lot of the structures for St. Luke's downtown. He said it's got good bones. It can easily be moved. I've in several conversations with the property owner. She's kind of vacillated back and forth on what she wants to do with the property. Obviously, it is kind of landlocked with the developer's purchase around that. It's kind of a foregone conclusion that the value in that property is the property itself, not necessarily the Grange Hall. From the historical committee's perspective, we would love to be able to have that building moved, purchased, or acquired in some manner, and moved to an area where we could establish that as a location to establish a museum for Star. We're still in the planning stages of the museum because essentially you have to have a foundation in place or something along those lines. But if our historical committee is to acquire artifacts from people here in Star, we would need a place to put them. We would need a place to have exhibits. And the Liberty Grange Hall it's a historical treasure for our community.
Yeah, you got about 1 minute left, Mr. Chip.
Pardon me?
You got about 1 minute left.
Oh, okay.
It's not on there.
10 minutes.
Tracking it on my
okay.
phone.
Thank you
Sorry.
for the heads up. We would like to just kind of open discussion among city council, the developers. I think it would be an awesome gesture if the developers could somehow help us get that Grange Hall moved to a suitable location that's approved by the city council. Make the property owner a fair market value proposal, and ultimately that would be an awesome place for the community to either have gatherings or be able to see historical artifacts that over time our historical committee could acquire.
Okay.
Any questions?
Any question, Mr. Chip? Nope. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, that's all that came up to spoke. If you guys want to come back up, I mean, then we can just talk about. Huh? Yeah. You guys, do you have anything to say to? This is like the rebuttal phase.
Sure. No, the only thing I would say is just the willingness to continue to work with staff and city council on this, just to reiterate that. So we appreciate the feedback, the thoughts on this, and we want to make this what's right for the community. Whether that's looking at individual phasing and doing traffic studies on that, see how that impacts it on an individual phase by phase basis. I think that's something that we would be more than willing to offer to help add to consideration for this. And to not forget that this is also looking at what the actual land use is. So much of this discussion has centered around the preliminary plat, but not to forget that there are other aspects of this that are on the table to be considered tonight.
There's a lot of aspects to be considered, but there's a big hurdle to get over.
Sure, I understand that.
Right, that we all are hung up on to begin with on there.
Yeah, Mayor Chadwick. So on really, I'd be really uncomfortable, approving tonight the annexation for you know, looking at this that we have right now. So personally, I'd prefer to just table the entire, into all of this to a future date, rather than just, you know, doing the annexing or, you know, certain pieces of it. I'd be interested to hear the others.
I would agree right now, just so we can understand how we're gonna address the big issues. I mean, granted, we have the annexation, the zoning for the partial, we have a CUP on the table. We have a development agreement on the table. We got a rezone on the table because you want to rezone the commercial to multi or to high density residential. There's a lot of aspects that we need to look at, I think, before you start pulling pieces out and approving it. I think it needs to come together. I don't disagree at all with what you're saying on that. So,
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Wheelock.
I have some questions with the multifamily. I have some less issues with the townhomes. I don't know that I love the back facing road face to face. That's my opinion. Kevin thinks they're timeless, but that's because he spells his name with an I.
All right.
Nonetheless, I
versus an A.
First in the alphabet. It's getting late. I would think I love the idea of phasing it differently. Mr. Ramsey expressed that they would be less interested in doing it with the single family homes first. I would love to see that and work our way towards State Street. But I love the whole project overall. I think it's just a matter of working through the kinks. That would be my opinion from the, if we were to push it forward with the connection to Hamlin, there's still a lot of fire issues that could be worked out that I would not like to approve tonight. So if we're tabling it, whatever, but if we were willing to annex and approve the single family, I would be for that too.
I think I get that, but I just think it's a concern. Traffic is a concern overall for everything coming in and out of that singular road. So I think we got to figure that whole thing out before we approve.
Sure, but you're talking about a whole lot less traffic.
Oh, you are, yeah.
If you phase it in that way,
Sure.
that would also slow down the growth. That would get everything else timed, and maybe it would work out better that way.
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilwoman.
So is the entire property currently zoned in our city limits?
No.
Or some of it's in the county? And so if we were to do the residential, I mean, can we even do that? Are we contingent
Yeah, that's contiguous.
or contiguous? Yes, thank you.
It's all contiguous. The top part with the single family residential is what's being annexed and zoned. The middle section with the townhomes already has the zoning designation on it. The apartments are currently zoned as C1 or C2. So they're trying to rezone that to allow for the high density residential, which is part of our comprehensive plan.
Yep, got it. Yep.
So that's, I mean, we got all these different functions in the
Yep.
project there.
And so it is touching.
It is touching,
The
yeah.
north part is touching. It's already in city limits. Got it. Thank you.
Fire chief Victor.
Mayor and council, just really brief. I know we've talked a lot about people saying fire department, and just to be clear, the land use portion of it, we're okay with as far as annexation. When you guys, me, it's very rare that I put anything that says this type of thing, and so it was a big issue for us. Outlining it, we have 500 units coming in. The villas are 21. Amazon Falls 132. We have Wright Brothers that are coming in addition, 2 additional spots, and Junction 2 that are all going to be using Amazon Drive onto Short. So when I take that big look up top, there is that big issue. That's what brought my comment too. It's not just having the connection to Amazon Falls, right? My job is to make sure we have simultaneous ability to respond and evacuate citizens of Star safely. And then we bring them onto Highway 44 or State Street, depending on what side of the line you're in. Ultimately, this if this was built today and we respond, our crew would have to go up, make a U-turn, and then come on to Hamlin, reducing response time. Station 55 will be the primary station for this eventually. But right now, there's no connection to the north for that to provide that service. So all of these adding up, right, is huge for us. You know, we look at an apartment complex of some type. We have a new one, Starcrest, in the last 3 months. We've responded to 12 alarms there. So that's a pretty significant for 12. We have good access into that. So when we decide to start building stuff like that, we really have to look at that, right? And again, I think the product is great. It's a good location. I echo what the mayor says, is we just have to figure out how we can respond there to provide good, adequate service to those citizens that are moving to our great community.
Okay. Councilman Nielsen, do you have something?
I'd be for moving tonight on the annexation and rezone. That's it.
Let's ask the applicant what they want. Would you want to annex and rezone the top part now, or would you rather wait until we bring the totality of it back in front of the council? I mean, ultimately, that should be their decision on that, yeah.
I don't.
Well, it will be. I mean, we're not saying that it's not. I just didn't know if you wanted to wait until you work through all the. You what?
It's got to be that mic.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, we got to speak to the mic. Have him come up here and speak in the mic about that.
I'm sorry, I really can't speak to it, but my thought would be that he probably would say that he wants to do it all as one project. That would be the goal. If we did it tonight, it's one less thing we'll have to do later. If it's a comfort level thing, if everybody's comfortable with it, I think that land is going to go to the city of Star, but I haven't spoke to him about that specifically because that wasn't the intent of the meeting. So I'm really probably can't speak to that.
The only challenge I would have about doing it tonight is we tie the development agreement to the annexation of the zoning, right? And we don't know what we're going to put in that development agreement with traffic and all that kind of stuff yet. So I would suggest that we wait to annex that in.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that too. The only thought I had is that if it makes it easier to have any sort of discussions or to formulate agreements and things like that with external parties, then maybe there's some benefit, but otherwise.
My only intent in moving forward would be to express that we do want this functionally to work. It's just a matter of how to do it.
Yeah.
I guess that would be my intent in encouraging to move forward. Although holding off is fine. I just would want the applicant to know that we seriously want to work through this and figure it out.
And go ahead.
I see it a little bit differently because, the annexation, this is our only time where we have a little bit more opinion on whether or not it is in the best interest of the city. And so, if we approve tonight the R10 and because I think that's what we're also talking about, right? So it's going from the R1 or 2 to R10 and adding the R1. I believe I said that right. Right? Yeah. Well, for the density, so we have the middle section, because currently it's zoned R2, I believe.
It's R1 and C2.
R1 and C2. And you're asking for a rezone of R10 and commercial, right? And so that's a big jump, without having a real good idea of how we're going to handle the infrastructure needs. And so I don't know if I could support the annexation tonight.
I think that's what we're saying.
Okay.
Look, all I can say
I
is
think
this
we're
is
saying
where
the same thing.
Topgolf should have built.
Topgolf. I think.
Sorry.
I think that's what everybody is saying.
Well, I didn't hear that so much from the two.
So are you good? Are you good with tabling it then? What's I guess here's my thing. If we table this, we need to make certain that we have a plan of what you're gonna do, right? I mean, obviously, we need to look at the phasing. You guys want to phase in, your phasing wants multifamily. We need to find out how we're gonna get that multifamily in and out based on what fire chief said, right? And our concerns about getting people in and out, right? So that may entail talking to the developers around, find out what that looks like for their development, timing wise. What does that look like with your townhomes? Right? Do we have to split up that multifamily phasing? Maybe it's only a quarter of it at a time. You know, I mean, I guess get creative.
It's all on the table.
Right. Get creative. It may not be the whole thing like you were talking about, right? Want to do it. Maybe we can only do 100 of these units right now until we get certain aspects done. But I put that on you to bring it back to us to help us work this for you. Does that make sense? Anything else, Sean?
Mr. Mayor, staff recommends that you table this to January 16th.
Oh, that's what I want to ask.
We can always.
Is January
move it
16th
out.
enough time for you to get all that done? To bring it back to the council?
That's a question to work with staff. If that is enough time to come up with a reasonable.
I mean, we're willing to do it on January 16th, but I want to make sure that you have an opportunity with the holidays around there
And I
to
think
be able to
that's
get that done.
to be discussed with staff and fire as far as that.
I guess we could put it on January 16th. If they can't do it, table it.
Let's move it to that point.
Move, yeah, okay.
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilman Nielsen.
I move that we leave the hearing open and table it till January 16th, 2024.
Second,
Okay, we got a
Mr. Mayor-
motion and a second.
Mr. Mayor,
Do you have-
before you vote, staff has some
Okay.
other things. So, as stated in the staff report, there's still some items that need to be addressed. So I think we need to have the applicant come back with, and I guess they can just work with staff and staff can explain what is still needed. For example, we still need a full site plan of the apartments, figure out parking and everything, because that's going to ultimately decide the density of the development. So just, I guess, have the applicant get with staff to address the comments that have been brought up tonight, and then staff's additional concerns to bring back to you on January 16th.
So I'll amend the motion to include a directive that the applicant work with staff to address all concerns brought up here tonight, and direct staff to provide council notice that if things aren't ready for January 16th, that it'll still be on the agenda and we can table it again further.
Does that work? Does that work for you? Okay, so we got a motion. Do we have a second?
second,
We have a motion and a second by Councilwoman Solomon. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Nielsen.
Aye.
Solomon.
Aye.
Wheelock.
That motion carries. We'll schedule
guys.
January 16th. Awesome. Thank you.
Happy holidays.
We're going to move on to, we got a few items to take care of here. We need to move on to, oh, I'm sorry. We got one more public hearing. We need to table again, right? Almost forgot about that one. So Star Point subdivision, the request is postponed to January 16th. If we could make a motion to postpone that till that day.
So moved.
We got a motion and a second.
second,
A motion second by Councilwoman Solomon. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Wheelock.
Aye.
Salmonson.
aye.
Nielsen.
Aye.
That motion carries. Thank you. Okay, we didn't close it. We left it open. Okay. Yeah, we left it open. Yeah. Okay. All right, we'll move on to item 7A. We need to request to adopt resolution 2023-06 to approving the capital improvement plan and development impact fee study submitted by Star Fire Protection District.
So moved.
I did read it already for you, so.
You did. Is that okay?
Okay, we have a second. Councilman Wheelock seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilman
Sorry. Do we
Nielsen?
need to suspend the rules to do this?
No, the resolution. Yeah.
Oh, okay, got it. Got it. Love the rule list.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call?
Wheelock.
Aye.
Salmonson.
Aye.
Nielsen.
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries. So we'll move on to item 7B. Request to adopt resolution 2023-007.
Mayor Chadwick,
I'll let when you read it. Councilman Nielsen.
I move that we approve the request to adopt resolution 2023-007 of the City Council of the City of Star for the purpose of entering into the City of Star/Star Fire Protection District.
He's got to finish reading it. Oh,
Amended and reformed intergovernmental agreement and joint powers agreement for the collection and expenditure of development impact fees for fire district system improvements by and between the City of Star and the Star Fire Protection District for the collection and expending of development impact fees for the fire district system improvements as identified in the capital improvements plan.
okay, we have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second by Councilman Wheelock. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call?
Wheelock.
Aye.
Salmonson.
Aye.
Nielsen.
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries. Thank you. On to item 7C, request to adopt resolution 2023-008.
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilwoman Thomaston. I almost said Wheelock. Sorry.
Move that we approve or we adopt the resolution 2023-008. City Council of City of Star amending the City of Star Comprehensive Plan by amending the comprehensive plan component of public services, facilities, and utilities by amending section 11.2.2, Public Safety Fire Protection Comprehensive Plan by referencing the Star Fire Protection District Development Impact Fee Ordinance and intergovernmental agreement, and by the addition to the comprehensive plan as Appendix A, the capital improvement plan and development impact fee study submitted to the Star Fire Protection District dated August 23rd, 2023.
Okay, we got a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, a second by Councilman Wheelock. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call?
Aye. Salmonson.
Aye.
Nielsen.
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries. Now we're moving on to item 7D, the adoption ordinance.
Mayor Chadwick,
Hang on a sec here. What's this ordinance for?
This is making a technical corrections to certain definitions that they suggested.
Oh, off of the Star Fire. Okay, I just want to make.
Off of our code and our impact fee ordinance.
All right. We had to suspend the rules.
Mayor Chadwick,
Councilman Nielsen.
oh, thank you. Can I do this for both at the same time? You can't reference both ordinance numbers? Yeah, for the rules.
Yeah, wave them all at three at once.
This will be easy, Jacob. I move that pursuant to Idaho Code Section 50-902, the rule requiring an ordinance to be read on 3 different days with 1 reading to be in full be dispensed with, and that ordinance numbers 396-2023, 397-2023, and 398-2023 be considered after reading once by title only.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call?
Wheelock.
Aye.
Salmonson. Nielsen.
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries. Just for the record, Councilwoman Solomon voted aye. Her microphone was not on.
I'll take the first one, Mayor Chadwick.
Okay.
I move to introduce and adopt ordinance 396-2023 and ordinance amending section 2 of Article A of the Chapter 3, Title 7 of the Star City Code by making a technical correction to the definitions and providing an effective date and publication.
Okay, we got a motion. We have a second.
Second.
We have a motion second by Councilman Wheelock. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Wheelock.
Aye.
Salmonson.
Aye.
Nielsen.
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries. On the item 7E, The adoption of the next ordinance. Seven E.
Mayor Chadwick,
Councilman Nielsen.
I move to introduce and adopt ordinance 397-2023 and ordinance amending section 3 of Article A of Chapter 3, Title 7 of the Star City Code by making a technical correction and by the addition of Star Fire Protection District impact fee schedule and providing an effective date and publication.
We have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
We have a motion second by Councilman Wheelock. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Wheelock.
Aye.
Salmonson.
Aye.
Nielsen.
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir, on item 7F.
I move that we approve the request for adoption of ordinance 398-2023 and ordinance amending a section 16 of Article Chapter 3, Title 7 of the Star City Code by the addition of the Star Fire Protection District impact fee schedule and providing an effective date and publication.
Okay, we got a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second by Councilman Nielsen. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Wheelock.
Aye.
Salmonson.
Aye.
Nielsen.
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries. Thank you. We're gonna move on to item 7G, the fiscal year 2022-23 audit engagement approval. I believe in your packets, and Sean's pulling it up right now. We have our
G.
G. Good. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, this is the engagement letter with the costs associated with that, correct? Jacob, for our next fiscal year's audit was Zyger,
Mayor Chadwick.
John Associates. Councilwoman.
I move that we approve the FY 2022/2023 audit engagement of engaging Zyger, John and Associates for the fiscal year ending 9/30/2023 audit.
Okay, that, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Wheelock.
Aye.
Salmonson.
Aye.
Nielsen.
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries. On to item 7H, sweeper purchase.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Wheelock.
I move that we approve the purchase of the sweeper for all the sidewalks that we are approving at 7 feet wide. Move to approve the purchase of the sweeper in the amount of $21,692.65 under Sourcewell government contract. 031121-AC0 pricing.
ACO, letter O.
ACO.
Okay. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm really disappointed this isn't a street sweeper.
It's not a street sweeper. It's a
You can't-
sidewalk sweeper.
You can't drive the sidewalk or the street sweeper on the sidewalk.
Well, I'm just gonna let everybody know, we have about, with all the stuff.
Somebody
we've been
gets
doing on our
arrested.
Parks, we have about 7 miles of new sidewalks for the city that they have to maintain. This is gonna help maintain that. through all-
We'll
That's
just
what
do
we
But
got.
not sorry.
Huh?
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. We'll do snow also.
It'll do snow. That's probably one of the big reasons for it as well.
Yeah.
Yep, especially on new concrete, you can't put salt or anything on it, so you can
So-
realize that. Okay, any
But-
further discussion?
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilwoman?
So I have to ask where the money's coming from in the budget.
Yep, out of the general fund.
Okay. And so this isn't something that we can.
I don't think we can use this
do
as park
ca-
impact.
Park impact.
Can
Well,
we
I
use
mean,
this-
it's
I mean-
10, 8,
Well, is it in your,
10 years?
is it in your comprehensive? Well, it's probably, I don't know. if it's a technical-
so
I
it's-
don't know if
it-
in your capital improvement plan.
It's not in our capital improvement plan because it was not considered at the time, but with all the park improvements we've done, it's become a necessity for those parks in order to maintain them.
Then you should amend the capital improvement plan to include.
You what?
We should amend the capital improvement plan to include.
We're
this.
going to, we actually approved that, starting the first of the year, we're going to be updating that.
I understand, but it's not
Can we
updated.
amend it right now?
No.
Yeah, it's gotta go.
No, there's got to be a study. You should have, you've got to have your park impact fee all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
So I would say there's, at this point, probably not, but there may be other things that you'll need to purchase and they should be included in your capital improvement plan, because otherwise the fees were set based on certain improvements, which this didn't include. And so to spend it outside of that, somebody could come in and say, hey, wait a second, we were paying for these other improvements, not these new things the city's coming up with.
Okay, very cool.
Like
So
the street sweeper.
it'll be general funds.
Yep, got it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Wheelock.
Aye.
Salmonson.
Aye.
Nielsen.
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries. On item 7I, the maintenance vehicle purchase. We have an opportunity to purchase Star Sewer and Water District's 2000, have to find it here. It's not written on here. It's I think it's a 2016. I think.
2019,
What is it? Say it.
2019 Ford.
The 2019 Ford F-250. They rotate through theirs. It's only got what, 40-something thousand miles on it. We're in need of another vehicle. We only got two working vehicles right now. Right now, Bob has gone online to try to get some stuff through the state thing, and everything is up around the $40,000 to $50,000 range. So this is a no-brainer to me for our parks.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Wheelock.
I move that we purchase the maintenance vehicle. Approve the purchase of the used maintenance truck Ford 250, VIN number 1FTBF2B64KED47454 in the amount of $27,100 from Star Sewer and Water District.
And just so Miss Jennifer understands, it's general funds as well. So we got a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Sorry about that. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Wheelock.
Aye.
Salmonson.
Aye.
Nielsen.
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries. Thank you. On the item 7J, resolution for the asset disposal for buildings and grounds. Jacob, do you want to talk about that one at all, or do we want to not talk about it?
Bob's got 3 mowers that he would like to get rid of that New Plymouth could use.
They're non-working mowers that New Plymouth is gonna
Good for
utilize
just parts. And then I can't remember what the top item is.
Yeah, these mowers are no longer being manufactured, so they don't do us any good.
Oh, and then get rid of a Dodge that's not
Is
working.
that on there?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
on the
that Dodge
top.
truck is that's the non-working vehicle that we have.
And he had a suggestion on how to get rid of it. It was through a auction company. So we just need you to approve this resolution so we can get it off our books.
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilman Nielsen.
Move to approve resolution 2023-009 asset disposal buildings and grounds.
Got a motion and a second by Councilwoman Thomason. Any further discussion? There is no general funds on this one, Ms. Jennifer. Okay. I just want to make sure. We might get some money back.
Goes into the general fund.
Yeah.
Roll call. What's that? Ms. Jennifer seconded. Okay, any further discussion? Roll call?
Wheelock.
Aye.
Salmonson.
Aye.
Nielsen.
Aye.
That motion carries. Thank you, everybody, for interesting, good, fun night. It's 10:35 and we are adjourned.